With just 2 more weeks of regulation play this season, it's time to lock in. We're going all the way back with Division S here in Street Fighter League Pro Japan, all the way live. And I really do mean that because of the fact that, hey, you see it. You already hear it. It's me, Vicious, here with Senkola to bring you all the action of what's going on, along with the heavy stipulations of the matches before you. Only, you know, a couple of big minor details, but fact of the matter is, 2 of your favorite teams may not make it into playoffs, but it really depends on how things turn out, and with those details, we'll bring it to you as we go on match after match. In the meantime, just kind of reassociate you guys, or to introduce you guys in case you haven't been here before. Senkola, how are you feeling? And also, can you break down for the people at home what to expect with this week's matches?
I'm feeling super excited about what we're about to see, but of course, we'll get into the details a bit later on. We have the home and away side. That's coming back, and again, the away side puts up their characters' players first, the home side second. That's going to give the away home side advantage. We go back to the first to 2, first to 2, first to 3 system. If need be, we're going to have that first to 1 to have that for a tiebreaker scenario, and that's going to be 10 points, 10 points, 20 points respectively, and then 5 points to end things off for that tiebreaker. Now, this has been a continuous thing we've seen out in the league, where we have the away side winning a little bit more than the home side, at least in this division. And it's been kind of strange to see the strategy develop where if they're on the deficit on the away side, we've seen them rise to the occasion. And every team is going to have to rise to the occasion now because it's do or die time, as you mentioned, for 2 teams in particular. Team Detonation, NagoyaNTPOJA, NTP, not only scrapping for as many points as possible, but there's a money up here, 8 million yen. That's 5 million, 2 million, 1 million, respectively, for first, second, and third. But besides the lion's share of the pot, and obviously getting through the playoffs, you want to be the best in land Japan in terms of the teams. But as mentioned, it is looking kind of dire for Detonation, FocusMe, and NagoyaNTPOJA NTP. Now, production was kind enough to break things down for us. Detonation, FocusMe means 80 points to proceed. But if Saishunkan, Kumamoto, and Shinobism Gaming both get 10 points this episode, they're automatically disqualified. That is Detonation. That's disqualified. One team from those 2 needs a 40 bomb for Detonation to get through. How insane is that? Now talk to me about Nagoya.
It's too much pressure, brother. That's literally hoping on one of these teams to be playing out of their mind. You know what's crazy about that is too? I feel like 2 of those teams, right? We talked about Detonation, FocusMe, and NagoyaNTPOJA because they're similar and like in a very similar situation. They're easily rooting for Saishunkan, Kumamoto, which means that the dynamic between Itabashi Zangief and Nemo are thwarted temporarily, right? They got to join alliances, right? You have Detonation cheering on Saishunkan, Kumamoto this week for the sheer fact that they need to win 40-0 against Shinobism Gaming, which is kind of wild. NagoyaNTPOJA, pretty much in the same boat. They need 80 points as well. But if Shinobism Gaming manages to get at least 10 points, or for the fact that IBUSHIGIN can get 25 points as well, then they're automatically qualified. So they have at least one kind of like similar requirement in regards to staying alive with Detonation, FocusMe. So we'll see, man. Things could be absolutely turned upside their head with how things play out this week. And it's not even just the end of it, too. This is the second to last. This is week number 9 going into it.
There's a lot to play for, not only for the points as we mentioned, but also these cool awards that they've had. Season MVP, Point Getter Award, Win Rate Award, Rookie of the Year Award, and our favorite Drive Impact Award. We'll get down to who that is as we get closer and closer. But you can check out all the good things at Capcom_esports. They have some polls going on right now. Since we're live, I can direct you over there and you can vote for who you think is going to win. But it's actually hard to determine who's going to be winning right now because at the same time, when we miss some of these teams that are on the deficit, we've seen them rise to the occasion, or some of these teams also take 40 bombs against some of the most dominant teams in the divisions. And honestly, I feel like it's a little bit of fault, obviously, of the teams, but no fault in consideration to how stacked every team is every single week. When only 3 teams move on and you have so much talent out here, it's to be expected that some teams will fall to the wayside and not be able to be perfect every single week. So when people look at this and they're like, well, why is this team like on the lower half and they're not winning as much? You got to think about the pedigree that is out here. You see, you know, one of the lowest teams that they FocusMe had Machabo on it, and Machabo just got 3rd at probably the most stacked CPT offline event. That goes to show how ridiculous it is out here at Street Fighter League Japan, where it's not just about the players, about the strategy, what you're doing on away, on home, how you're also putting up the player-to-player and character-to-character. There's so much in contention and so much to think about when you are facing off against these other teams. It's not just about, oh, I'll play perfectly. There's a lot to consider, and there's a lot to consider coming up here. I think we have our first away team coming up. And this, once again, definitely matters. NagoyaNTPOJA on the chopping block. We'll see if the Daredevil Bounty Hunter can stay solid and claim more heads out here. Mochi on the Akuma. See if he can turn up like volume and do a little bit of damage, because he has not been able to thus far. But Oyama's talent, Otani on the King, can definitely put some pause to the opponent. We've seen how good his Kin is. He'll definitely, once again, have to play absolutely perfect alongside the Battle Consultant. If you got this person behind you, I think you'll be A-okay. It's Tachikawa on the Modern Ed, Classic Ed, or maybe even the Mon, depending on the matchup. And leading the charge is the Hammer, KB, and that B, well, you know that stands for Bison, baby. This guy is ridiculous with that character, has great defensive tactics and defensive timing, but again, as we mentioned, they have to play absolutely perfect and alongside wishing for other people to fall to the wayside.
Truly, man, they have to play as flawless as possible, and that's going to be such a heavy ask in regards to who they have to play off against, right? Good 8 squad is going to be the team first up on the home side, by the way. So they get full advantage of how they want to organize their team and their character selection. With such a heavy-handed squad as well, they did absolutely killer over at the previous Super Premiere. They are so consistent also in World Warrior. I mean, Komamoto is pretty much dominating the charts as well. I feel like the only one in question right now is YHC-Mochi, but not by a large margin, because of the fact that he's going to be the character specialist that could be ruining a lot of the meta. And having him on the home side, he could be that secret weapon for this week's matchups against Nagoya. And of course, we talked about him. It's the monk coming down. YHC-Mochi, as you would say, lay hands on the mans. I can't believe I'm saying that, because it's, you know, it's just not my flavor. Cosmic Buster, Pugera, also coming in pretty heavy-handed with his Bison as of late. The Singularity. He's only focused on one thing, and what he's eating after every single match. It's Kanonno bringing in that extra flavor. The honest hero, I feel like, who had the most signs up for him while he played. It is Gachikun. Also one of my favorite players to watch in general, man. This good 8 squad is easily one of my favorites up to date. And for very good reason, man. They gel so well together. They're such highly talented individuals, and I think they have such a creative mind towards facing off against certain matchups that are ahead of them. So with that in mind, we get to look at specifically what those matchups are with NagoyaNTPOJA's roster first.
With them being on the away side, this is even more desperate for them. We'll see what they pick. Okay, so Tachikawa with the Ed first, which is kind of wild. I thought he'd be more of an anchor position, but he's going to lead the charge. Mochi in the second position right there, and then last in anchor is KB. KB makes sense to me, but I would rather have, I guess, Tachikawa. But either way, KB at the very end, that's fine. However, Mochi coming up, and we haven't seen him have the most stellar results out here at Street Fighter League. And again, you consider the pedigree out here, you consider like the level of play. It's kind of hard to sit here and say that he's lacking, but you know, he's new to everything. But at the same time, like, he has not been able to really show up for his team. I guess he has to now. Playing perfect and sitting up Mochi when we haven't seen him in a while. What do you think about this? I think this is kind of risky. Don't you think? I think this is kind of risky myself.
I think this is 100% risky considering what the stipulations are, right? You need 80 points to proceed on top of what we spouted out earlier between the other teams as they progress. You need to score flawlessly. You need to play as immaculate as possible. Looking at the current score right now from Mochi, he hasn't had a single win. It's not to take it from him either, because he had to face off against some really, really difficult players. He had to face off against Pugera last time. They need to face off against Machabo also. So I wouldn't be surprised if Pugera went up again. Ah, but it's YHC-Mochi. I see. Okay, well, I always forget. You know, I thought Mochi was going up first. But I was going to say, specifically, this makes a lot of sense for YHC-Mochi to face off against Tachikawa. I think the only deal breaker here, in my opinion, is the fact that Tachikawa is in modern. He'll be able to react a lot quicker to some of the things that Dawson wishes to present without really sacrificing as much. I think Tachikawa can still maintain the dream combo with modern. We've seen that firsthand with Tachikawa from weeks prior. I think his damage is still going to be on point with some of the links that he does have access to. He won't necessarily have a lot of the same tools that kind of stops Dawson from walking backwards, but he's not going to be doing all that anyway, in my opinion. So I think overall, Tachikawa doesn't necessarily miss out with the current kit that Ed has in modern. But as we've seen lately, we've seen it over on Saturday and Sunday, actually. yo, Dawson might just be the answer to Ed. Not the most concrete answer, but an answer nonetheless.
And we've seen that over in the league too as well. We've seen it where it's hard for Ed to get things going because he wants to play that mid-range. Sim plays a long range. Sim can run that heavy kick now. He gets a punish counter, gets a bigger follow-up right after it. He wants to teleport if he gets a further punish counter damage right after it. And then also like the fireball pressure is really good for him. He can go to the air and use the comet and switch it up with buttons in between. So with all this variance in this long range gameplay, and it's hard for Ed to continue to like whiff punish or find a button to deal with the character. Like you're stuck looking to like let heavy kick whiff and try to walk underneath and try to like get a punish counter gets that, and that's a very tall order. Meanwhile, he's peppering you with fireballs, with buttons and fists and things like that. And then when Sim gets a lead, it's hard to take it away from him, especially in a matchup where you win that matchup as Sim. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard for Ed to find he needs like stand heavy kick or maybe crouch heavy kick in some ranges, but again, you're hoping that there's a button that's whiffed. And in between someone like YHC-Mochi throwing out fireballs, his timings are really tight. We've seen that happen. We see the desperation for Fudo to try to get in, and it was a hard-fought one. So I think this is a good pick on paper. You mentioned Modern being a helpful thing where you can be able to anti-air better, which is definitely be helpful. Being able to react a little bit faster, which will help out in the match. So it'll still be a difficult matchup, but I think Modern will, as you said, help out at least being able to capitalize on more of these moments when they present themselves, if they do.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of difficulty too in regards to like what Dawson has to do against Flicker. There's a lot of moments where he can spend a lot of time airborne, and I feel like the anti-air Flicker doesn't necessarily cover those grounds consistently enough. So even if it doesn't, right, you're either sacrificing a lot of momentum by going backwards to reset, or you sacrifice getting whiff punish, kill rushing forward if you don't read the Dawson correctly, right? So I think there's a lot that Dawson can do to maneuver around that tactic itself, whether it be like teleport as well. I think teleport's a really, really great deal to solve the issue against Flicker, right? Because if you do the forward teleport, it ends up behind the person regardless. So I think that's going to be a little bit problematic for Ed to really establish that type of formula. The kind of formula that he's been kind of implementing for a lot of the other casts, right? So yeah, I don't think Flicker would be necessarily the biggest deal for someone like Dawson, right? So that could be a little bit problematic too. It just depends on how YHC-Mochi's mobility is going to be like, and it also depends on if Tachikawa is able to really, I think, snipe it out. Yeah, and already anticipating the fireball. This is one of the big things that we were expecting too. YHC-Mochi is so keen towards some of the fireball situations that Ed can control with, and just like that too, being able to float over and reset the situation. This is looking so sharp for YHC-Mochi up until this point, right? Tachikawa now kill rushing forward, draining some of the drive gauge, and keeping YHC-Mochi in guess situations with throw multiple times. But now, side switch, you already knew it was coming, and Tachikawa still trying to contest.
Uh-oh, tap and parry. Also, punish counter throw to land. However, it's a one more touch scenario. Doesn't have an overextend like that. Back away to get the win. Caught the recovery, the spark with a stand medium. And I like that. Reassess. Don't have to overextend right there. YHC-Mochi, timings were too tight. And as you mentioned, he's so good against the fireballs that it's going to be hard to present that as an option. The float, the slide, as we've seen. There's the anti-air. He did get the trade at least at this point, but here we go. Punish counter. Once again, YHC-Mochi being able to throw the on his side of things. And a slight delay.
And you can see how much of a problem it is right now too. Tachikawa can't even implement some of the sparks, even trying to catch a limb, because it's YHC-Mochi acting second, right? So long as he kind of plays that role, or at least keeps himself mid-air while he's trying to strike, I don't think the spark is going to be necessarily a big deterrent against Dawson, right? And now Tachikawa playing the cat and mouse game, YHC-Mochi with the life lead, Tachikawa has to commit to movement forward, and YHC-Mochi 100% ready for it. So I think right now, again, the Dawson versus Ed matchup is really starting to prove why Dawson has a slight advantage in regards to what Ed's current kit is. Because you have to be a madman to like snipe out some of these normals with a spark. I think that's a very difficult one. Doing it to like that though, doing it normal to normal is much more effective as a whiff punish in comparison.
It takes a lot of work to do that, though. You know, like, those are moments that are not handed too often. YHC-Mochi will definitely change up the tempo of what he's doing. There's the air. And now, looking at the button kit of the character, as Ed, you don't have jump heavy kick, you don't have jump medium kick. Those are less for the air-to-air options to challenge like the floats and things like that. So even less you have in your toolkit, has to go for the jump fears. Gets a toe tap. To be able to expend a level 1 to finish it off. YHC-Mochi, even in the rebuttal situations where, you know, he loses the turn or we see like a knockdown scenario, it's been pretty dang good wake-ups and rebuttals. YHC-Mochi on set point with the quickness, and again, they need this. NTPOJA needs this.
It's kind of wild too. Tachikawa spent a lot of time just practicing this character and not even trying to exemplify, like, or at least trying to demo some of the improvements he's made over at the CPT. I didn't see his name on the list, if I'm not mistaken, but this is I don't know, man. This is kind of like a pretty significant deal with YHC-Mochi. He was looking forward to this the whole time. Tachikawa was the one like, you know, I want to try to snipe out YHC-Mochi, but it's been the other way around. Level 2, Sunburst, yes sir, cooked him up. That was a flawless example of YHC-Mochi's progress with this character, with this matchup. It's been absolutely insane. Insane.
I feel like we have seen YHC-Mochi again on the home position as just an X factor against certain matchups, like this one right here, against this player right here. You see him claiming these points, but also again claiming some of these matchups that may be a little bit more difficult or more annoying for some of these other characters, things like that. Like this is dominant. I feel like this is probably one of Ed's worst matches. I think we can definitely say at this point. We've seen it happen before. YHC-Mochi very aware will do up the matchup. As mentioned, slide to the spark, stand medium as we saw the punish counter, and then gets the lead, keeps it in his own fashion. Look at that, the flip out, he's ready with the back medium kick, already has the toe tap and able to finish off the level 1. YHC-Mochi takes down Oja. Unfortunately, I think this means their chances are done and dusted. But again, you have this X factor for Good 8 Squad. You have the utility all around. Like, you don't put up Sim usually in the away side, but you can put them up in the home side to claim some of these characters that maybe are a little bit more problematic, or styles that are more problematic too as well. So I think this means they are out. We'll get full confirmation real soon, but there's a really good shot that this is it. I mean, Tachikawa even said himself, hey man, we can't lose any games. We can't even lose this game. And it was a 2-0 defeat. Man.
And he asked for it, right? That's the matchup he was looking for. He was trying to drag out YHC-Mochi. Man, I gotta say, you gotta be careful what you wish for nowadays, brother. I know spooky season is over, but I feel like some of the curses are still valid so long as Mariah Carey hasn't fully popped out for Christmas, right? So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Coming up next, Gachikun. That's crazy. Not crazy. Not crazy at all, actually. But I feel like if I'm gonna be very honest with myself here, I think Gachikun clearly outclasses Mochi in the current state of affairs with Street Fighter 6. It's been rough. I feel like Mochi has had nothing but really extreme challenges since he's played. But although it may not necessarily equate to the results that he wants, I think he's been very realistic about some of his expectations as a member of NTPOJA. I think, like, when I got to talk to him over at Tokyo Game Show, he just wants to overall improve in the game. I think this is the best you could ask for in regards to his personal goals.
In such a short time, he has been a very good player, like quick to adapt to a lot of stuff. You know, Akuma's not an easy character to pick up, especially in a new game. You're coming from a different game, a different mindset, and things like that. We mentioned how that could be a good thing. There's also a lot of deficits. You have to relearn things. You have to relearn certain parts of neutral. Way different in terms of like how to approach matchups and stuff like that. Like, there's no wall breaks in this game and things. So you're kind of thrown into the fire. You're also in the fire of Street Fighter League, right? Like, that's a wholly different thing. We're fighting the best of the best out here. You're fighting the cream of the crop. So overall, he's a great player. Like, let's not get it twisted. In any other fashion, he'd be fantastic. He'd be top tier out here. But you're fighting against someone that is a Capcom Cup champion currently right now. Previously fighting against someone who makes top 8s in the most dominant of tournaments, right? So like you're having to go up against the best of the best. That's not the best in terms of like detailing how good he is, but if you watch his play, it's not bad. In fact, it's really good. It's just he keeps going up against these very dominant players. Now, this being said, even though he is going up against Gachikun, I do feel like it might help out that he's like, okay, I'm looking out for this guy. I want to fight him. I could just hyper study Gachikun and just hyper focus on this dude, his character, and then maybe eke out a win here. It's possible that because you have at least an idea who you're going to fight, it may help out a little bit more than just having an open bracket per se.
Yeah, there's a possibility. I think it's not. Yeah, I don't think it's like impossible. I think the way that Mochi handles himself in other fighting games, it just makes a lot of sense to kind of transfer over and figure out how you want to assess yourself in this current fighting game, right? So, although the dreams have been crushed for NagoyaNTPOJA, I think also this is like the perfect time to kind of throw him up there and figure out what needs to be done, which is kind of wild too. Like, I don't know if that was the mentality going in, like they needed to play perfect, so it's just like, man, you went in with Tachikawa, and you wanted to snipe out YHC-Mochi with hopes of taking him down because you wanted to snipe him out, right? If that succeeded, and then you put Mochi in, then where do we go, right? But we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll make us eat our words. Who knows?
Listen, it happened with me and Tokido this weekend, so who knows? You're absolutely right. And again, being able to study somebody definitely could be a benefit. No drive rush can't sweat that Sam Pierce could have been a lot more. Nice anti with the ODDP against the Demon Ray, denying that from approaching at all. Back throw?
Yeah,
no, it's a normal throw.
Definitely plenty of time to actually get like maybe like a buffer too from that range as well, if that was your intention. Just not ready for it, unfortunately. But Gachikun is eating a bunch of forward fierces. Dear Lord Almighty, this guy is just slamming his face into concrete fists.
For another throw, the tech though. Crouching mini kick, the snipe, the slight delay, gets the knockdown of Theoki. My win condition is going to pop this immediately. Careful level 2 though. I could cut through. The throw. Trying to do it. Sends it out. Same day delivery. Oh, caught him with the counter. The timing a little bit better. Mochi's defense leads in to success. Ooh.
I think there was a little bit of overzealousness coming in from the side of Gachikun. Maybe he thought to himself, as like, all right, well, I'm sure I can make this guy flinch with a level 2, despite him having full drive gauge and also him being 3/4 away. Surely he won't parry this mix, right? So Mochi will definitely take that.
Oh, drops. A lot of drops, but does get the throw at least. Have to be careful again with the Kuma. You have to be able to get as much damage off the deck. I mean, when you have those access points and not let it go. Reversal jab, gets a counter combo and a side switch. Maybe side close jump, heavy kick, the shimmy again, the stand fierce. No rebuttal button just yet. Careful of that drive gauge.
Oh. I like the attempt too. The parry for the anti-air instead. Still managed to get a back throw, but man, he's running into a lot of fire. Yes, sir! I was waiting to see that. I like that, being able to interrupt that jump, the lingering hitbox behind him. I was actually kind of crazy to see that air-to-air interaction, but Gachikun still manages to salvage the situation with a round towards the end of that combo as well. Overhead block, got a time to check to, I think it was a heavier normal, crouching maybe medium punch to the side of Mochi and got interrupted.
Oh. The risk taking right there for the side of Gachikun pays off. Down with a throw, sends it at him. He's holding parry, overhead for the plus frames. Enhanced light mixer at the very tip, at the very end. Raw sweep. It's a side switch, break the throw though. He's got bar at the bottom. Mochi looking for the overhead, he gets it, but too far for the crouching medium punch.
Jesus. The frame kill for the throw, masking the intentions pretty well. Dash up throw again. He just doesn't guess correctly on this one. Oh, that could have been it. That could have been autocorrect ODDP for the kill.
I regret this. The backdash Shinobi into level 2. Wants to harass that drive gauge. Almost in chip. He goes for the low. He sticks the crouching light kick in. That's going to be the win. Very smart stuff. Gachikun have been going for a lot of shimmies, a lot of throws in that situation, or just like delay button every so often. This time he sneaks in the crouching light kick. It was going to be chip either way at some point because he had harassed the drive gauge before that point had happened, and Gachikun make the most of that level 2 scenario. But Mochi isn't too far behind. Again, he's not been able to find success off of every single hit. The stand pierces are not leading to everything. He's dropped a few combos. If that stops happening, I feel like he might be able to equalize here against Gachikun. Perfect parry back though. Yes, sir. Positional advantage. Yeah, get out the damage. There we go. Stand pierce and the fist.
Getting so much mileage out of these fierces against Gachikun specifically. I like the attempt. I mean, that makes a lot of sense to go for the DP in that moment. But again, Rashid having creativity, having the wall jump. This guy, Mochi, is phenomenal right now. Yo, spend the rest of it. Ugh. Nasty.
In the other game that he played in as a champion in, you got to have good reaction to this guy using him to full effect. Close range, driver, crouching light kick, OD rebuttal from the side of Mochi. First buster I think we've seen from him thus far. Yo, to the corner, level 2, here we go.
Oh, that was so close.
God, that could have been real bad.
Even Gachikun thought it was gonna reach. Now in burnout, what do you do against it? You have a level 1 intact 2 plus frames, 1 attack 2. The throw is not gonna be able to succeed. First Mochi, and you know what is though, the drive impacts charge it all the way up. Cyclone as well. A nice and easy, fierce to follow through. Gachikun, look at that match point.
Like, I see the ideas from Mochi. Like, I see the defense, just the timings need to be a little bit tighter. He is so close to doing so. That jump in, knockdown, frame, kill for the throw. ODDP deletes that though. Good defensive reading so far, at least in terms of like using the ODDPs. And what do you do now? You're caught up in the corner. Gachikun building all that bar for that level 2. Just one more fireball, or just a block just like that. Level 2 on the menu. After an OD fireball, has to be careful with drive impact against one of these normal fireballs. Oi, overhead. Pulse parry.
Nice. We'll definitely take that too. Plus frames as well. Oh my god, that's gotta be more than enough damage too. That's all she wrote. Gachikun. Another 10 points on the board, adding slight insult to injury. A little bit of salt in the wound. But look at this, the Rice smile. It's just the way the camera is cut, it makes it look really
It's just like half his face.
like in really bad taste, but it's actually kind of funny. I know he doesn't mean it, but it's just the way it was cut was really funny. But Mochi actually had a pretty significant fighting chance. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I think his understanding of what needs to be done is really strong. I just think, again, my initial statement of being outclassed by somebody like Gachikun, who's been, like, you know, devoting his life to this game, is very evident. It's not to say it was a complete blowout round per round, but 2-0, you can see why.
Yeah, so at the very end, I think Gachikun just gave him a lot more respect, a little more, like, you see way less in the shimmy scenario, right? Like maybe like a back and forth right there. Last time he did it was like 4 shimmies in his face. A little bit too confident, but Gachikun recognized man's business and took him down from there. But again, I think Mochi isn't too far behind from being like a top-level competitor out here in a short amount of time, which is very incredible to say. And that's a champion of the other game can be a champion of this game. He just needs a little bit more time and a little bit more of a buffer, I think, for NTPOJA overall. And that's not really all his fault. That's the entirety of a team. But right now, it comes down to this. They could have a tiebreaker come through. KB has been a very dominant Bison in and outside of League. Has been fantastic in terms of like his offensive time, as we mentioned, his defensive, you know, crouching light punches to get the counter hit into OD scissor kick and stuff like that. I've been watching that. I've been trying to study and kind of absorb a little bit of that because I feel like he has almost like a psychic read when he wants to run that light button to reverse the situations. Now, that being said, Gachikun's off the table. I thought Gachikun was going to come up to fight him, but it's going to be Kawano going up against KB. All right.
I'm excited for this one as well. Only because I like seeing the current progression for KB as an individual. I think he had a very fantastic performance over this weekend at the Super Premiere. I think him going against the leader right now in the World Warrior is going to be a pretty good test for him right now going forward. But let me double check if that's actually still the case. If World Warrior Japan still maintains or still has Kawano maintaining the lead. But either way, man, it's been a very, very difficult matchup, I feel like, for KB and some of the other Akumas in play.
I feel like it's a test of like defense versus offense. We know Kawano to be very offensive. His offensive times in terms of his DPs are super hard to read just in general. And when he gets aggressive, it's hard to stop him. And he's also willing to go into burnout more often than other Akuma players and be confident about that. He'll wall you out with stand fears, crouching medium punch. He'll use the walk speed to be outside the effective range. And you really can't miss space a scissor kick. He'll use his walk speed to enforce a block and get a punish right after. So if you go for a scissor kick, he'll do stand line kick, Tatsu, into Oki, as we typically see, and then he'll get the strike throw, or maybe we'll go for demon raid, whatever it may be. It's going to be a very horrible thing to have to fight someone like Kawano if you're on the back foot. But KB again has had great defensive timings. I think he has a really good read on some of these players. In the interview here from KB, he says, we don't have a chance for the playoffs anymore. We're losing 11 games straight right now. I'll do my best to win here. What?
I didn't think it was 11 games straight, but that is kind of rough. I still think, you know, they're in good spirits with how they performed last weekend. I think it's going to be just fine. I think there's plenty of room to improve for this team. I think, you know, when we first thought about their composition, the overall composition, I think the only questionable choice, in my opinion, because of my ignorance, was like Mochi, right? But I think once I got familiar with him, actually being able to talk to him in person too, I still think they had a very solid chance of making it through.
Just how it is, man. Street Fighter League is just so difficult with all these teams being so stacked. The only 3 being able to move off to the playoffs. It's bound to happen. You can have some of the strongest players, but the compositions ain't right. The setups ain't right. This can't get right. But as said, they cannot move on to the playoffs, but they like to play spoiler and put at least some damage on the likes of Good 8 Squad. Let's see what happens, though. KB off to a fantastic start. Already has him up in the corner. Holding back.
This is great. This is going to be like an amazing practice, too, for someone who's like, what, top 6, I want to say? Top 5 in current World Warrior standings, right? I mean, KB currently being amongst like the 20. I think this will set him up nicely for at least World Warrior for weeks to come, right? But thus far, as you had mentioned, he was doing a pretty significant job. I love the pacing that he's playing at, too, against Kanonno, not really overstepping his boundaries and playing more of a reactionary game until Kanonno's from a certain distance. Then he'll go in just like that. I was just about to mention.
Oh, he tries to walk back, crouching to kick, snipes it out. Tatsu, dash up for the throw. He breaks, though. KB, ready. Stand medium kick. The stand fierce, too, as well. That defense, that absolute wall. And they can fall to level 1 follow-up. I like that from KB. Stand fierce, crouching medium punch, and stand medium kick, I should say, have been really good ways of keeping Akuma out. We might be seeing more fireballs and aerial approaches beside Kanonno as he tries to go so. It's a perfect parry after he loses his turn. It's a setup the entire time. I like that from Kanonno.
What a way to thread the needle, too. Counter hit into the light for a string. I was going to say at least to implant the bomb. The Kanonno's fireball game is way too strong. Jump short to stop the devil's reverse almost instantly, bringing it back to super turbo. I like that. Just the active frames on it is pretty good to go air to air. Now the Sip of Calamity, not necessarily going to kill, but leaves him in a really bad spot towards the corner.
Oh, the bait. Crouching to kick, drive rush into the Demon Ray guillotine to fake out the throw. We talked about the defensive timings here from KB, and Paul's playing around that. Perfect parry and the punish right after. Let's go for the knockdown. No! Stand medium did not reach. Could have went for different there. Maybe Adamant Fist would have been better.
Maybe he forgot the input.
Oh, you're right. It has happened.
It's happened numerous occasions. I'm not even lying. Like, that's actually...
It's true.
You already know.
Yeah. Oh, what was that? Raw? No OD on it? Get punished. In the corner. Kanonno's aligning the OD, styling wild and profiling. They have to do all that. But I do like that combo. I do like Kanonno taking advantage of the fact that Akuma gets nasty up in the corner. Whether it be plus frames, whether it be the variance that he has, it's hard for Bison to fight back. You don't have the defense. Drive reversal, the bar at the bottom to your name to fight back. That's really it. The objective is to not be there, but what happens when Goku gets you there?
Oh. Oh boy.
That's so scary. The jump scare, drive rush, scissor kick, trying to clip a button.
Yeah, there's still a realm where a punish counter scissor kick can lead to so much damage. And also high potential corner carry, right? And KB is kind of like inching his way forward to kind of get that possibility. Yo, that could have been it too. That could have been light scissor kick and punish counter against the slide.
Look at this fireball game from Kanonno, though. It's disallowing the scissor kicks, it's disallowing all the buttons that the KB would like to press, like especially Stand Fierce. 19 frame startup, not the fastest in the business. Fast fireballs are keeping that at bay. Good adjustment from Kanonno. So one touch scenario. OD could kill at this point. Might let it out. Drive rush, fake out with the fireball. Might go for Adamant Fist after this now. Could do so much to kill.
He doesn't need to overextend. He's sitting on a perfect. I don't even think he needs to do all that. Like, he doesn't need to, yeah, right? He just has to sit back, play the fireball game as much as he wants to. As long as KB is not holding his cards to his chest, like he's not maintaining his charge in a sneaky manner, Kanonno's not going to fear anything.
Yeah, he's chilling. I'll switch down. The bomb's on the back dash. No catch, though. Back heavy kick. Killing some of that drive gauge. Walk up throw. Next after this, the cross cut. Crouch fierce. The OD saw for the plus frames. ODDP knew he's going to take back his turn, but has to be careful. Kanonno almost out of bar. Backs up a little bit. Back to the fireball game, the lame stuff. I don't mind this at all. Drive rush throw.
I love that interruption. I was waiting for that. Yes, sir. That is so high risk too. Like if you mistime that, you have to really guess what angle he's coming from in the first place to even try to do that. That is crazy from KB. What a conversion. Mad expensive, but you get hella style points for that.
Oh yeah. Talked about his defense being fantastic. Oh, he seeks him a crouching medium punch. That is plus. Kanonno pressing when he shouldn't. Fakes out the throw. Too far for that. Button in the throw right after. Delay time. He's light into nothing though. I'm surprised. He usually gets a medium off from that. Sees the counter. He's usually so good about being able to press right after. Kanonno back to that lame style. But now you see more perfect parries. Maybe to hold the charge as well. Oh. Bow. It's Calamity. Get the bar back. Almost in the green.
This is kind of tough too. Back-to-back throws. You can't survive another one. Out of there. Okay, this is huge now for KB. It's just a matter of sneaking in. How do you do it? That's a perfect way to start it. Level 2, level 3. Oh, I think he just built a level 3, but it doesn't matter. Psycho Punisher. That's so much damage, right? If that wasn't gonna kill, I would have been mad surprised. KB with the clutch performance towards the end of possibly their career here in Street Fighter League Japan. That was so well played.
From multiple angles. That jab followed from the force state knockdown into the OD scissor kick was fantastic. The timing, the spacing has been ridiculous and not faltering to the usual teleport command grab that we see from a lot of cool players to end the round. KB is like, I'm not going down, bro. The beast be standing for Bison. I'm standing on business right now. Does the stomp? Oh, that is perfect. Burns out Kanonno, immediately goes for the drive impact. You see the switch up, crouching in the kick, holds the charge, gets the OD stomp. The palm is on. KB is on one right now. Off the wall, late button, but Kanonno's the one that threads in here with the crouching mid kick. Tatsu right after it. Oh, back to mid-screen.
And the fireball game we go. Honestly, Kanonno could just be big chilling with the amount of gauge he has left, but this back throw could really set the tie-ups, really set the turns up now for KB. Damn, so many micro decisions that need to be played just based off of the drive gauge alone. And I think right now KB, he's kind of stipulating on what he needs to do to open up. But now Kanonno, the one approach that people rarely get to see coming is the two-range air fireball.
That's a range where we haven't seen Kanonno play that often, like, especially when things slow down. He's been going back to mid to full screen to throw out the fireballs, catching KB unaware with the aerial approach to the fireball, and opening him up to slow down that stand fierce, slower button. So we might have to see something different for a shimmy scenario off of KB. So over the scissor kick, interrupted with the fireball, too far up the sweep, beautiful punch to get to the corner, Psycho Crusher for the damage, meaty crouching medium punch, bomb is now applied. Oh, he did not complete the combo, he had to stand medium punch. Oh boy.
I can't believe you tried to press a button after that, but I get it now. KB, level 1, you already know it, more than enough damage. These are very, very tight-knit games between KB and Kanonno.
Oh yeah. The switch up of what they do when they stand, and like that, they're using it almost as a mix-up has been fantastic. I love it. The movement has been also difficult for both players to have to deal with. Does have the charge up for the anti-air. The Psycho Crusher drops him down to the ground. And the throw, delay the medium. Nothing after it though. Kanonno try to push back outside this corner. Now using that forward medium kick to kind of claim some of that space. For a punish counter, would rather have that sweep knockdown.
What do you do about this too? KB now maintaining the life lead, does get the forward throw. This is kind of difficult now for Kanonno to process, I feel like. As long as they stay mid-range, mid-stage, I feel like the big threats won't be coming out just yet.
Ooh, the dash up into nothing. He's delaying those buttons every so often, trying to get the counter hit. Catch Kanonno pressing when he shouldn't. The light and the medium and the like Psycho Crusher level 3 should kill. A lot of things at this point could kill. As Bison.
Oh, that was sick! He still managed to be in range for the throw? That caught the startup of the Adamant Fist.
It's got KB. on defense. Oh, it could have been it off the medium, but again, he's still in the lead. Doesn't have to overextend. 10 seconds on the clock.
No way!
Even in the darkness, it hits. Kill.
Oh, but he's burnt out with 0 resources. You can't do that. You can't dash up in his face like that. Not after the SA3. Not after the critical art. That's crazy.
At max, all you get is like stand fierce or 4 fierce. I can't believe he dashed up. I feel like these clutch decisions at the very end are like not getting clutched out. I guess they're not clutched in that case. But Kumamoto, like when it's like down to like that final decision, I feel like he does so much in terms of like risk. We saw it with the command grab before, teleport command grab that was like damn near full screen. And we saw it here after the knockdown, after the super. I know, 9 seconds on the clock, you're trying to get in, maybe trying to play around the idea of backing off for a little bit and then going in. But I'm surprised to see like a dash up. Why not like Demon Rave die can do something like that? I'm surprised to see something so, I don't want to say it's so obvious, but maybe easier to counter if you're going to be aggressive. Why not like more of an aerial approach? I feel like OD dive kick would have been at least a little bit more of a rewarding risk. Yeah.
He was burnt out.
Strange.
So we can't. He can't.
Oh wait,
he can't
you're
OD.
right.
No, he can't OD dive kick.
That guy had no bar. You're right. He was actually.
The math behind it is when you land critical art with Akuma, it's plus 18 frames. Akuma's dash is 19 frames. It's not your turn, albeit not by much. But it's still not your turn. Hence why the counter hit even came out from KB. Like even if you were to throw out maybe like a 4-framer or whatever, I mean, I think there's still a realm where Bison can do a normal that trades or just beats it out cleanly too. So that was a really interesting, I want to say, decision from Kumamoto, trying to steal his turn back off of that. But KB, he'll gladly take it, I think.
On game point. That defense, I feel like, has been winning games. Obviously, there's been some moments from Kanonno that have gotten him in trouble. Not right now, though. In the dead zone, avoiding that crouch fierce. Double jump. KB not biting. Oh, medium with a link after that punish counter. We'll get this for the Tatsu. This time a medium. I don't know what he hit, but it's a counter hit.
I like the defense against the Devil's Reverse. Uh-oh! No, you can't do anything about that. You gotta hold it. I mean, maybe there's a realm where if you drive rush, maybe you'll have time to level 1, but I don't know, man. That is actually kind of asking for a lot.
Wano trying to stand proud right now. Fight back, the crouching light kick in between the strike throw. Bomb, deleted, defeated after his perfect parry on the drive rush crouching kick. A little bit too obvious. Wano gets blue with it. OD fireball backs up. No anti-air. I think that's what he was looking for. He saw the counter hit instead. Oh, another bomb. Dash up, waits and bait. Oh yeah, time to decimate. The bomb, and there was still more.
Oh my God. There was so much time for him to just pull the trigger mid-air into like a Psycho Crusher if need be. No way. You go in with level 3? Not just yet. You let the bomb do the talking first. That's forward throw. Makes it far worse to play defense against.
One more decision. One more link with a proper combo. Level 3 at this point. He is throw looping him in. And Kumamoto, what do you do for defense? He's so in the back, but you can't get that aggressive style that you'd like to have to happen. The entry points have been denied so much. Adamant Fist isn't working out. And now on the offense, as soon as I say that, finally KB opened up by the crouching muted kick, caught in the corner. He's fine to play that defensive wall easy style with the button stand muted kick, the jabs.
Right. Dude, the walk up too. You're looking at another throw. And he does so. He baits out the parry from Kumamoto. I couldn't even tell you why that even happened, but that was a big mishap. A couple of bad mishaps from the side of Kumamoto. I could not tell you what was going on through his mind towards those final moments. But man, he's got Yakiniku on his mind for sure, brother.
Don't give yourself a healthy serving, because after that,
yeah,
that's absolutely the way you deserve it. Treat yourself, because KB, again, was standing on business. The way that he plays on defense needs to be studied. I feel like he might be the best defensive Bison in the business. Look at that jab in the OE scissor kick, as you mentioned, a risk, but the timing fantastic. And you see him when need be retreat to that wallsy style. You see him even walking back, avoiding even being in range of a possible command grab. He had multiple minutes, hours of time to delete that off the table. This guy is ridiculous. Yeah, you hit me with the demon, but then as you mentioned after this, it didn't really matter. Double drive rush, no cart. This guy is putting so much, I think, on the mental stack of Kanonno that he's like, I don't know. I guess I'm just going to tap parry if I see you drive rush and hope that I catch a button. But it didn't matter. KB ties it up for his team. Of course, NTPOJA, they're still out, but KB at least fighting for his team. And I honestly, at this point, want to see the run back. Give me one more match of this. I need a little bit more. I'm not full. I need one more serving of a 1-to-1. These two players.
Yep. So with that in mind too, with good 8 squad getting 20 points, you might think to yourself, well, there's no real harm in whether or not they gain all the points or they don't gain as many points, etc. Well, the fact of the matter is, they need to maintain a 20-point lead against IBUSHIGIN this week to maintain their status overall as first place players, I think. If I'm not mistaken. But I think they're already going to be guaranteed. I think with the amount of points they have, what, 220, potential 225. I think it's more so on the side of like this dominating performance to be whether or not the other teams make it into the playoffs. But I feel like with 220 right now, if they lose the tiebreaker, I think it still makes them rather susceptible to losing the #1 seeding into playoffs.
Ooh. This is very pivotal, but Mochi's going up though. Huh. Despite KB being so strong, and I feel like not really having issues in terms of like the characters that he has to fight, it's strange to see that. And YHC-Mochi.
You know, it's probably battle for the name. I gotta say, man. I know that's not actually real. But we've definitely seen interviews where it's like there could only be one Mochi, right? And I think it was YHC-Mochi who had made that comment. So as to why Mochi's coming up right now from the NagoyaNTPOJA side, I think it's more so just trying to get like his bearings in, some of the games in, just because I don't think he's, you know, really felt like he's played a lot. And he's mentioned that in his interviews. He's like, you know, I haven't really played, so I would love to this time around.
YHC-Mochi going up, as you mentioned, maybe battle for the name, but also, I guess it's not the worst thing in the world for him to go up. I would have liked to see Gachikun. I think Gachikun would have been fine here. Bulgaria would have been fine here. YHC-Mochi, I guess, not the worst. And the first one, you know, having to fight against a sim and not be able to get your bearings and have like an extra game to maybe download some data to work your way in as like a Shotokan character. I feel like maybe that is what they're looking for, because I don't think Akuma loses the matchup horribly or anything like that, but I do think it's like difficult until you start to understand the patterns that are simplified by the buttons and the fireballs and things like that. You'll get a hold of when you can be able to run like an OD fireball for the knockdown, when you're able to maybe demon flip in, and add that variance when it's hard for them to anti-air at the proper distances. So maybe that's the reasoning. We're going to the interview right now. Mochi says, teammates, let me play again, and I'll do my best to win this game.
距離的な意味もありますけど、もっと深い意味もありますけれども、そこら辺で戦おうと思います。よろしくお願いします。
A lot more of a lengthy interview coming in from YHC-Mochi. Hopefully we get the full translation on that as well. But I gotta say, it's cool to see the Nagoya squad have Mochi play out the last remaining couple of weeks, right? After this, there's only one more Division S game to play to round out this season of Street Fighter League Japan. Can you believe it, man? It's been like almost 10 weeks already. Or how many days did we play? It's 10 weeks, right? Am I tripping? It is definitely 10, right? But yeah, it's wild.
Feels like it's gone so fast, and the action's been so good. I mean, we feel like we've been blessed to have this game every single week. And if it's not on a week, we have like offline premiere to like watch and enjoy and things like that. So like it's been great to be able to enjoy this great action, but everything good must end at some point. So must NTPOJA end. Like the aerial approach right now off the rip, going for the dive kick. You mentioned that some of Sim's stuff is a little bit on the slower side, more predictive. These anti-airs at some ranges. YHC-Mochi now playing outside, as he mentioned in his interview. Play outside his range. It's his character. Keep him long distance, area codes away.
Oh, not even the attempt to try to contest the limbs just yet. Catching the walk back as well. Man, he's had a lot of success with some of these adamant fists. Even canceled off of normals. Man, you snuck it in like that. The drive impact, my man is gunning for that award.
50K in. It's a lot of A lot of BBQ. Oh, now. Faster fireballs. We'll see what happens here. Mochi just reassessing, getting some of that bar back. The dash up throw. Demon Ray Palm from the skies. From the skies, this man is putting so much variance. If it's not dive kick, it's the Demon Ray guillotine. Drive rush overhead to start off the party. I like the aggressive starts here for Mochi. Felt the type of way throughout the league. Wants to get that W. Wants to end in the right, proper sort of way, at least against Good 8 squad.
Oh. Oh. Bang, bang. The noogie. The down forward throw by the ankles this time. Damn, he is chucking them all over the place. So many throws back to back. YHC-Mochi, he's big chilling. Man, Mochi going for that drive impact is actually kind of sneaky because he did have life to withstand maybe a little bit more life, I should say, to withstand maybe like a normal, but it was actually kind of wild that he did it.
Final round. Captain Perry caught the recovery. Slide. Oh, resets. I should say reassesses. ODDPs and burnout though. That's him on the secret Barons of burnouts. You got to be careful. Double one. Look at the pushback on that. Able to get the anti-air against the fireball. And that's going to be at the fireball to follow up. YHC-Mochi takes the name and takes the game and takes it for Good 8 squad. That's 25 points for them in the end.
Not too bad. It drives me crazy that their overall points is 225. I would have loved to have it just in like a better looking number, but I'll tell you what, man, 225 is still a hefty chunk to keep themselves within contention of first place. Of course, Saishunkan, Seoul, Kumamoto, and Shinobism Gaming still have a chance this week to overthrow Good 8 squad.
Could happen. It could happen. And we've seen things happen that we didn't expect. Honestly, I didn't really expect NTPOJA to come out here at least to be able to tie up the games and bring it to the limit. But, man, just the way that YHC-Mochi plays just overall, reassessing and being more prepared for the anti-air or the aerial approach that was coming through from Akuma. You see him even backwalking right there, getting enough space for the level 1 to come through where you can't even really get a proper punish. Leads the fireball off the table, gets a follow-up with his own fireball, and YHC-Mochi taking the last bit of points in that 1st-1. Very good stuff, 25 points totality here for Good 8 squad. Didn't really expect, I guess I should say, this tiebreaker to even happen. We saw some washings at the very beginning, and then KB with that defensive style doing so much damage against someone who is so aggressive was incredible. Like, I got to give big props to Oja, even though they did lose today. KB's game, I think, was one of my favorite out here at Street Fighter League in terms of how he maneuvers Bison. And I think that should be studied. If you're a Bison player out there, you should be looking at all the defensive timings that he was doing. The jab against the dive kick was perfect. Chef's kiss. And the follow-up right after it. Obviously, it takes a lot of work, but the defensive timings, what he's using in some of these moments to get these follow-ups right after should definitely be studied. So, well done to KB. I'm sure he's going to be doing work over in the World Warriors and things like that. Could still make it out there. But Oja, again, a strong team. It's just they're so much stronger in terms of, like, strategy and the other teams as well. It's not that they're weak. It's just these other teams are just stacked in so many other elements.
Yeah, there are just moments where, like, week after week, there's going to be a team that plays stronger than you that week, and that just happens to be the case for a lot of the teams out here as well. Like, some of these points reflected don't necessarily mean that they've had, like, the best time throughout the entirety of the season. It just means there's certain matchups that they have the upper hand against in certain weeks. So I don't necessarily think that any of the teams that fall short of playoffs don't deserve the credit, because I think all of these individuals work very, very extremely hard, actually. With that in mind, I mean, you have other guys like DetonatioN, FocusMe. Their captain had made it into Capcom Cup, winning ECT, right? Then you have FUKUSHIMA IBUSHIGIN. You have like a fully talented young roster that is pretty much predicted to be like some of the best that we could ask for in the league before we even started, right? You have like Kaku, Kosa, Yanai, and Sasamo. Like, most people on paper would be like, yo, that is a powerhouse team. Guess what? They might not even make it into the playoffs, which is kind of wild to say. Granted, there's still 2 weeks left. There's still a lot of time, in my opinion, to get a lot of these games in. And as it sets us up too, DetonatioN FocusMe with FUKUSHIMA IBUSHIGIN is going to be a very, very big deal going forward. But we'll talk about that when we get there, when we cross that bridge. In the meantime, we do have a couple of words from the interview. Pugera also being on the bench, which is actually kind of wild. He says, we really thought about today's order. It went really well, but unfortunately, KB was just too strong. still able to win our team matches. Personally, I wasn't able to play today, but I'll do my best next episode.
まあしっかり要所を決めきれたなっていう感じで。
Also getting Mochi's interview here. The first game went too good. He said it was lucky. Was it really lucky? I feel like you were doing a fantastic job of doing what you should do against Ed. I mean, we saw immediate slide against the fireball. Like, that timing was fantastic. I feel like he was playing on form. Like, I don't know if it was really luck. I mean, YHC-Mochi cooking up the Ed and also cooking up the Akuma. I think it was way more than luck. But he said the extra game, I lost the first one. I was pretty nervous. So he got nervous after that first wrong. And it kind of makes sense. You know, the aggressive start, I should say, of Mochi and the Akuma. We saw the dive kick round start. And it was like, oh, that's how we're beginning things. I'm sure that put him off his game a little bit, but you saw him reassess and be able to get the anti-airs off properly. I like that sequence that he did. Got the pushback, hit the level 1, where you weren't going to be able to punish in the first place, but even more space to be able to back up the player and then maybe force out the idea of going for the air fireball or whatever it may be, because he was already in burnout, so why not get aerial? So I think the structuring was really good, enforcing other things out from the side of Mochi, where he couldn't really respond the proper way, and then kind of ensuring himself the victory was really well done. He said, it was great that I was able to win. So we're also getting Gachikun and his words. But again, Good 8 Squad has been amazing, not without struggle, not without, you know, having to really fight back some moments too as well, where before it felt like other seasons they were kind of a little bit too dominant. Like, you'd be like, okay, Good 8 Squad gonna come up here and take that W. You see people being on that limit or take them to the limit in many of these matches. Maybe not always today, or wasn't always like that today, but it has been the case previously where Good 8 Squad hasn't been able to take the victory all the time. And I do like that people are able to bite back against these like top level teams and showcase that they deserve to be out here too as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same sentiment of like what we started off with, right? Being able to talk about like some of the teams not necessarily having the same results that are reflected upon their hard work, or at least the results of what they're looking for as individuals striving for a spot in the CPT, right? It's pretty much the same type of sentiment that we were talking about overall. But I think going forward with what the teams need to be doing is, if they decide to be a part of the league again, like what needs to be done from a managerial's perspective to cater towards these players, and what needs to be done to like grant them the success that they need, or at least the tools that they need to succeed even further, right? Because it's no longer going to be an individual type of game. They have to kind of congregate as a team to figure out what matchups need to be played when. I think one of the biggest outliers right now, or so one of the biggest indicators of like a team not necessarily having that cohesiveness is when, in my opinion, they pick the wrong orders for who they're going to snipe out for the home team majority of the time.
Yeah.
I think one of those teams, just as an example from last season, is Shinobism Gaming. They kind of fell short from picking the right type of formula over and over again as the home squad, which caused them to miss out on a lot of points, right? So I think there's got to be a lot more from just the individual's perspective here in Street Fighter League to figure out what needs to be done to succeed as a whole.
You can mention DetonatioN FocusMe. They're not really as focused on like that, where am I placing my player-to-player and character-to-character sort of thing. I feel like they don't have that same strategy as other teams do. And you look at Good 8 Squad to be like the shining star for that. You have YHC-Mochi for Sim in certain matchups, which I think is very important, as we saw against the Ed. You have a Bison, you have an Akuma, you have players that also you obviously have a Rashid, but you have players that also have different ideas on certain things and come from different areas, I feel like, in different styles that are going to be hard to fight just in general overall. So I feel like that's kind of like Good 8 Squad is like the essence of what you should do for Street Fighter League. They're not picture perfect. Nobody can be, I think, with the league being so difficult to play in. But you could see the idea whenever they go up for away and home, clearly compared to other teams where it doesn't always make sense. We're questioning Hamiko or the other commentators. They're questioning it too. They're like, well, I don't know if this is proper or whatever. And sometimes it doesn't always work out for them. So I think, as you mentioned, moving forward, looking at the player-to-player, the character-to-character, and looking at strategy overall is going to be a big factor. And some of these teams weren't able to do so as much. And again, that leads to losses. That leads to having to hope that other teams fall the wayside and you have to play perfectly. Not a good look at the very end, but that's going to be the end of Oja. Unfortunately, today means that they are out. Good 8 Squad looking to get as many points as possible to move on in the first place position. We'll see how that happens in the remaining episodes.
It's kind of wild too, man. They had that closing interview saying that the team the individuals will not be attending Blink Respawn, which is kind of a bummer, man. I was looking forward to seeing Gachikun and hanging out with him on the weekend again. I think that was like the moment we really got to talk about a lot of the matches and a lot of the players too involved in Japan. That was like the most knowledge I've had, or the most like, I guess, one-on-one I've had with Gachikun. It was a lot of fun. But what else is a lot of fun is being able to take it to the mobile game. I will say Street Fighter Duel not only brings it to the streets, but on mobile, as they have been doing these last couple of years. I want to say like maybe 2 years thus far. But if you guys want to check it out, scan the QR code on the bottom right, or at least while it was up. In the meantime, too, if you guys want to check out the original soundtrack of Year 1 with a nice little callback to the Alpha series, you can check out all of the QR codes here. I'd imagine for those in the West or in the States to be able to check out the Amazon QR code for the most part and get yourself, especially if you're a collector, this very intriguing original soundtrack.
ASAP as we get into year 2 at some eventual point, but year 1 definitely had some bangers. I'm loving what they're doing. I'm also loving to see the support out here for Street Fighter League, for Street Fighter 6. Y'all can give support to as well if you're able to vote. I see that we have the voting going on for the Japan Esports Awards. Once again, I cannot believe it's that time. Once again, hopefully we can see an award given to what's been a lot of work done for the league, and also just, you know, for the fighting game scene. I feel like Street Fighter has been popping off expeditiously, and it's been fantastic to see. We saw it over at the CPT Japan, how much love and adoration people have for the players, for the game, the amount of respect, the amount of people filling up the stands was fantastic to see in an offline sort of thing. But right now we are online and we still have more matches to go. As per mentioned, Detonation FocusMe going up against FUKUSHIMA. IBUSHIGIN is going to be the next match. People, it's going to be an absolute banger right now. Detonation needs as many points as possible to move on. It has to play perfectly. FUKUSHIMA looking to ruin that and get more points on their side. After the break, we'll have more. Stay with us.
20時13分頃予定しております。それでは一旦失礼いたします。失礼します。
これガチ君出てくるのね、やりますね。ただもう乗ります。ガチ君の上にチーム作ります。
なってない。
はい、これはもう
下がる状況での亀橋
ダメ
です。
足超きつい。お、いいジャンプ中継。
ナイス抜け。
守りも攻めも
う
うますぎて
うますぎ。
ペンペン
ラッシ
ペ
ュも止めている。
ン。着数圏内。打
そこ出
っていく。
したが。
あら
あららららららららら
あいい
ら
無結果に遊んできた。
でのユーサール。
ナイス歩きパリ。
ナイスパリ。
一発残ってる。
はい、
抜けてる。
ただまだ。あ、ただ消えた。
消えた。
おいおいおい。
あ
マジかよ。
めっちゃ確認したよ。
やるかよ。
見切った板橋さんゲーム。
上に乗っかったよ。バリを。
バリを投げている。
おーリーサル。
さあこれで
おー
どっち
リーサルだし。
インパクト。
よいしょ
おいしょ。
なぎさん。
リバーサル。
これゴッドミドルが。
うんま今の。
相手バレちゃった。
オッケー。
お手上げっす。
2連勝できてね、風向きいいですけどね、いやちょっとポイントが足んでんだこれ。お助けアイテムみたいないですかねこれ。なんかスーパーハメコくんみたいないですかこう。
あなただけにはあげないです。
It's do or die time here for Detonation FocusMe. They better focus up as they have to go against FUKUSHIMA IBUSHIGIN. My name is St. Cola. I'm joined with Vicious. This is going to be a very deadly but a very desperate battle. Let's actually get a hold and talk about Team Detonation. Mr. Optimal, shout out to YHC, shout out to Machabo. That third place spot at the CPT Japan premiere. Definitely putting pressure on his opponents with that Akuma. After that, it's going to be the Trickster, always having something for somebody. It's going to be John Takeuchi on the Rashid. Now, after that, we're going to have Shippuden Rai. They'll always let it fly. It's going to be Nowman, the Evo Japan champion, on the Fiery Ken. Last but definitely not least, he's paying. He's always buying. It's a meal ticket. Itabashi Zangief, and I do mean Zangief as he is causing grief with that character. Already qualified for the CPT. Needs to do some damage out here to keep his team afloat and has to hope that other teams fall and falter to the wayside. We'll see what happens though. It's up to them for right now.
Yeah, they're looking at a really tall order of scoring 40 points. They need to win every single match. And against this team coming up, that is going to be rather difficult. FUKUSHIMA IBUSHIGIN, a lot on the line for them as well. They are currently under the line to make it into playoffs, and they have one more week to play off against, and it just so happens to be against the #1 seed currently, which is Good 8 Squad. So they need to muster up as many points as possible. Heck, they might even score a 40 bomber to make the rest of the teams happier, but we'll see if that even comes to fruition. Talking about the teams coming in for the home squad, starting things off with the sunlit rising star. Welcome to Sasamo Street, baby. Sasamo with the Ed. This is going to be so exciting to watch. He's been further developing that character week after week. As well as FUKUSHIMA's go-getter, it is Yanai, also being a really pivotal part for the team as a coach as well, but also with the Bison. Then, of course, the daredevil on ice, that is Kosa, also taking a part of the Super Premiere. Did a fine job there. The same with the captain, the perfect potty prince, that is Kakeru, to come in with either character, Bison or the Akuma pick. So this is a really well-rounded squad, as they have been from on paper when we talked about the initial talks of Street Fighter League Japan, right? You have the options of all the top tiers, right? You have Bison, you have Akuma, you have Ed. Heck, you even have a Ken in there. And a secondary Bison if need be.
That's true. A lot of variation, but has to put together properly. I think right now they're looking good, depending on what comes up against, or from Detonation, I should say. Let's see what their order is. Okay. Itabashi off the rip, Machabo, and then Nowman to end it. I would have thought Itabashi would go up last, or even Machabo, considering how much work he did this weekend and how much he proved himself to be an absolute threat in the single side of things. Surprised to see Nowman at the very end. Not that he's lacking or slacking out here or anything like that on that Ken, but it's strange to see not players that have been close to qualification or have qualified be in that top spot and play that same sort of energy.
It's a little bit tough, too. I think the intention of Detonation FocusMe is to bait out certain players so that they don't have the luxury of gaining certain points, like a 20 bomber. And also maybe Nowman would be much more comfortable in a 3 out of 5 setting. That's the only thing that comes to mind. Like, I would have loved to see either Itabashi or even Machabo, considering his performance from this weekend, step up to the plate for the anchor spot. But I'd imagine Nowman being in the anchor spot is for a very specific reason for the side of Detonation FocusMe. But what happens if their best player decides to walk up and play off against the anchor spot? What if they decide, you know what, they're not going to bait us this time, we're going to still stick to our guns with who we think is going to be the best coming up? I feel like it's half and half right now, seeing Kakeru step up to the plate, but Bison versus Zangief is a little problematic. I don't even think it's like too bad, but I think it's rather problematic in my opinion for Zangief either way. But
yeah. It's just weird though, see Kakeru not go up at the very end. I thought he'd go up with the Akuma against the Ken, against Nowman, in a long set. And also, I feel like expending Kakeru now is kind of wild. Or I thought Sasa would go up, actually. To be honest, I thought the Ed would come up against the Geef. Maybe just not confident in that matchup. Like, Sasa was not confident in, like, fighting Geef. I'm not sure. But it is wild to see Kakeru go up. But, again, it's do or die time here for Detonation. They only simply need to win a 40 bomber and then hope that other teams fall to the wayside for them to move on. Just simple stuff right there. But maybe it's honestly, IBUSHIGIN looking to claim victory right now, knock them off the list, and then gain some more points after that. To see Kaku go up here is a little bit wild. But we'll see. He's also got the JP. If the Bison doesn't do the job, I think Bison's just fine in this matchup. You can't do scissor kicks as you like to, but your buttons are fine. You have Sam Fierce. You got the medium punch buttons. You got crouch medium kick that are really good against his buttons where he wants to play. You have many good ways to deny that jump medium kick that he wants to utilize. If crouch fierce don't work out, you'll be fine to stay there in the OD Cycle Crusher if you want to. And of course, if the bomb's applied, it's pressure all dang dang. So I do feel like Bison isn't the worst pick. He's got the JP if need be, but again, it's strange to see Kaku here instead of later on. We'll see if this works out, though.
I think Fukushima IBUSHIGIN securing as many points as possible is also the stipulation for them. I mean, like, the mindset for them. Considering how they played off against each other the last time, in the first half, Kaku stepped up to the plate. No, Itabashi actually stepped up to the plate, being on the home side, to face off against Kaku, only to fall short 0-3. So I think to myself, well, if we need to score a 40 bomb here to contest against good 8 squad, then I'd imagine I would want to go in with as many points as possible, going with the W's that we had last season, right? Or the last week.
Right.
First half, excuse me.
We'll see what happens. I'm curious the strategy here for Fukushima IBUSHIGIN, to be honest. Like, after this, I'm very, very curious about who they're going to place and where, because I'm still taking a guard from that. But either way, Kaku looking to secure a double jeopardy, a double beat down on Itabashi, as you mentioned, had beat Itabashi in that anchor position. But this is a different Itabashi. This is a qualified Itabashi, one that's been traveling the world a little bit and getting a lot of data around the world in terms of other players, their play styles. I feel like that confidence has definitely led him to be more successful in his endeavors, or will at least overall. Kaku, though, no slouch. Very high up in the World Warrior rankings, and for a good reason. I mean, he's doing a good job of running the Bison Akuma pick. Has the JP if need be. We'll see if that even needs to happen right now.
Currently #1. He's got 90 points. And the only one contesting him really is Shuto with 60, but Shuto's already qualified. So I think right now, Kaku is in a really sharp position to make it into the big dance. So we'll see. Maybe he can join the likes of Itazan, but right now, Itazan pretty much going toe-to-toe with him at least this round thus far.
Clutch backdash. Bomb is on. Harassing the drive gauge. It's almost gone. Yeah, you have to get hit at this point. You want to keep that drive gauge, but it's all going after that stomp. The sweep is there. Hard knockdown, drive impact. Be able to build up bar for a level 2 scenario. Drive. Oh, no drive rush. Just OD scissor kick. OD bomb right after into level 2. I see you, Kaku. Well spent. Well done. Cycle Nightmare puts him to bed.
Yeah, that Cycle Punisher was doing a ton of damage, no matter how big Zangief's health bar is. Medium kick to kind of use as a measuring tool as well. I like that. It really outranges a lot of the normals that Zangief has outside of the Fierce, though. Fierce has got to be the biggest problem, I feel like, in measuring that distance against Zangief. But also, the SPDs is going to be a little difficult to read. I feel like the way Itazan actually has been playing these last couple of weeks.
Ah, you saw right there. Try to sink that in. That's the gambler. Trade, anti-air with the crouch fears. Yeah, we talked about that button being real good. It's that dive kick, crouching, or jump medium kick. Excuse me. Sweep, drive rush. The knee at the very tip. Drive reversal. He's in burnout, but definitely not out of options. When we're sequencing level 2, we'll be able to do some significant damage and maybe getting that bar back. He's on trying to hunt his way in. That Sam kick keeping him at bay. Plus frame. That was plus frames, but Itazan doesn't care. Called him standing.
Pretty dead even thus far, except for the meter down below, right? Itazan, if he could sneak in a way to land a level 3, it's gonna be very problematic for Kaku, considering half of his health is gonna be gone. Itazan's gonna be able to control most of the space, but we'll see. Plus frames being applied 2 times over. Kaku does get the punish counter as well against the advancements from Itabashi thus far. The tactics have not been working out. He finds himself in the corner, trying to bring himself out of that space with a couple of normals, right? Standing medium punch, standing heavy punch as well. Ooh, charge that bad boy up! Tuck him in!
Short. Planting Bison. Oh, but again, a backdash to avoid the knee at the proper spacing where Itazan will like to approach, gets a punish off. Bomb is on. OD, that's plus frame still. Look at that, backing up. For the anti-air, had the charge up, was ready, instead of let that unleash. Level 3. Burnout incoming. Not gonna kill, but next sequence will. He's got bar. Raw sweep off the feet. It's a one more touch scenario. You can't even stay grounded because he'll try to go for the chip or the stand meter kick will get the hit. And Kaku has been using that button to full effect, as you've mentioned, outspacing and outplacing the stand mediums, the lights and things like that. Kaku looking to cook up Ida-san again.
Full composure too. The man is locked all the way in. You can see like the contrast and reactions towards the end of that round. Like Itabashi kind of reeled back in his seat, yelled something out, had a slight smile. Kaku was like, man, take me over to the next one, please. I don't want to play this matchup anymore.
Look at the stress. When you fight someone like the Gambler, like it makes sense because he constantly has to stay outside that mid-range to close range. You see him backdashing the knee continuously, and like he understands that if you get close, someone like the Gambler will reset into a command grab. You might even get punished kind of trying to tap parry in between some of these strings and things like that. Like every moment could be putting yourself at a deficit if you let him in. And we started to see the stand fierce from Geef start hitting some of these buttons every so often. At the very end, he did that charge up stand fierce and then got the driver rush SPD. Those moments are stressful, regardless of whether or not, you know, Geef is winning. When those moments start happening, the snowballing starts happening, we all crumble, even the likes of Kaku. So even though he won that, he was like, okay, bro, I want this to end ASAP. He got the burnout, which I do like him, aiming for the drive gauge to help enforce that situation where you can get that anti-air approach and then go right for the level 3 for the victory, and then just kill after that with a one-touch scenario. But still, you can't let this guy in. And as hungry as Itabashi is to win right now for his team, as they cannot lose at all, I get it. I understand the stress. I understand the bro, can we just end this? I'm glad it's not a first of 3.
Maybe that's why, right? Like maybe that's why they had this order, right? Itabashi Zangief is probably thinking the same thing. He's like, you know, maybe I can get like the most of him. I can kind of get him like flustered early enough to get some of my mixes in a first of 2 rather than in a first of 3. Perhaps.
Okay.
I'm not too sure.
Honestly, that kind of makes sense a little bit if you think about it. Fluster them like a first of 2, you know, make them get upset like the first game. Even in like this game right here, you can tell there's a little bit of stress with Kaku. Like he is obviously, you know, anytime that Itabashi gets that stand fierce and drive rush right off, like anyone is like, okay, man, this might suck. Might hurt. So, like, I think there is an element of that. But there's the reverse. You see Kaku going for, like, sweeps whenever he wants to. As well, I feel like that's more of a thing that we see from him in this match than otherwise, because he has such a big mental lead overall, considering what's on the line for him versus Itabashi. Yes, they want as many points as possible. Yes, they still need to qualify. But it's not as dire as Itabashi and what he has to go through at this point.
Oh. Jesus, this man is slugging it out, but also the confirms have been insane thus far in this scramble. Bam, bam. Overhead. Hella damage on top of that. The bomb. Ugh. Ended with the Psycho Crusher as well. Pure bad guy. Now look at that match point.
I like that Kaku just kind of waits back a little bit, uses drive gauge to kind of whip punish stand medium kick and other buttons too as well. Neutral jump, holds north to not go south. I do enjoy that. Not want to get SPD. Bomb is on. Back heavy kick. Just here. Perfect parry in between the string. Lands the SPD. Takes some drive gauge as well. He's go. Raw sweep. He's tripping that drive gauge. Every interaction, he is handling it.
No way. No way he was matching that too. He was churning like crazy. Yeah, Kaku expected that. Not even close to making the perfect parry. Prince sweat. What a backdash too. Might be in burnout. Yeah, that's all she wrote. Back roundhouse, having those plus frames as well, being able to pursue another normal that could lead into the drive impact. Looked like checkmate from where we were standing. Kaku, 2 games straight. And with that, Detonation Focus Me, we bid them adieu.
Man, when you look at the team, you look at the utility they have with the characters, you think they'd be up there. But again, that speaks to how difficult it is to play out here in the league. And the way that Kaku played was really good. I like him going for the burnout in this first game, which has been like a big thing for a lot of Bison players nowadays. Instead of just aiming for like level 3, aim for the drive gauge as much as possible. He'd back off too as well to reassess, see that had the charge, had the anti-air. And then you also saw him use drive gauge to whip punish like some of the more problematic buttons that were starting to be presented with a Stampede kick from the side of Geef. He'd like back up, drive rush light, get his bar back, and just like that, as a one-touch interaction, what can you do? He's going to do another back heavy kick if he wanted it. It would have been lights out regardless. Kaku set himself up for success, and honestly, the stress was more outpouring from the side from him than it was Itabashi at the very end. I think that strategy kind of worked against Itabashi, and as you mentioned, as the end of Detonation, but Fukushima, IBUSHIGIN, again, needs as many points as possible. They got to play almost as perfect and then rely upon other people faltering too as well if they want that third place. Depending on what goes down, we'll break all that down later on. So Kaku going up now secured them at least 10 points. Who goes up next? I want Genai to go up in this position against Machabo. What do you think?
I like Sasamo. I like 100% Sasamo. But Kosa? Okay. I thought Kosa would be safe for the mirror match. I think Kosa does a great job of like out-laming the opposition more often than not. I think he does really well in that regard, and also really well in playing on the back foot and reactionary. But I'm kind of curious to see if this plays out. I don't know. Does that mean Nowman faces off against perhaps Ed from Sasamo?
Gotta be, right? Like, I feel like that has to be the play at this point. But I agree. I actually kind of thought there would be a mirror match. I agree in terms of Kosa being really good in the mirror matches. Whenever I watch him play in the World Warriors or like in tournaments, he's really good about, you know, being able to slow the pace down where even your typical average Ken or unaverage Ken or good Kens are hard pressed to be able to approach without overextending. I think he's really good about that overall. I mean, it's strange to see him go up in the matchup where on paper it's not so good for Ken. Like willingly go up against Akuma, much against someone like Machabo is a very tall order. I feel we mentioned this. We talked about this already in the top 8. You know, Akuma has a really good time using the walk speed, the fireballs as well, to kind of corral Ken and just allow him from doing the things that Ken would like to do. Yes, Ken can land corner pressure off of any interaction, it feels. But Akuma does a really good job at keeping them out. And like, if you want to swing with those big boy buttons like stand fierce, heavy kick, and things like that, the fireballs are really good. For a medium kick is really good. He's got stand fierce, and his buttons for those ranges are less risky in terms of throwing them out. So it is weird to see Kosa go up in a matchup that on paper isn't so good, that I've even seen him be like, man, this is kind of stressful when I see him practice and play it. So we'll see what happens. Machabo obviously juiced up after having that third place spot. I'm sure would like to take out his anger on the opponents and the opposing team. So it's a tall order here for Kosa. But again, if they send them up, there's got to be a reason, right? There's got to be a reason.
Perhaps, man. It is kind of rough, though, considering that Machabo, no matter what his outcome is, no matter how hard he plays, and if he gets that W, it doesn't equate to making it into playoffs. I feel like that alone is very disheartening. But Machabo, again, being the caliber of player that he is, he's going to be playing to only, improve himself towards the next couple of weeks. I'd imagine, looking at World Warrior, right? Although Machabo may not be in the running, yeah, I don't actually see his name at all. I wonder how he's gonna go about trying to qualify, if he's actively trying to qualify, right? He has to go to like Blink Respawn, he has to go to Kings of the World, because there's definitely no last chance qualifier happening in Japan, all things considered. So that's actually kind of rough. I do not see his name, at least within the top 40.
Considering how stacked it is over Japan, like, it's surprising but unsurprising. But you're right, like, this is League no longer is a factor for him to qualify. So he only has Blink, he only has, as you mentioned, Kings. That's a lot to ask for right now. So at the very least, I'd like him to take his anger out on Kosa. We'll see if that happens. So Kosa had said, Machabo gave me advice in CPT that I lack some aggressiveness, which I still do, but I'll do my best to win here and give him the advice now. He's like, I'm going to give you that advice back and show you that what you said was worth it, which I think is true. We saw Kosa before, last time he lost to an Ed, where it was Momochi's Ed, of course, where it felt like he wasn't engaging enough. Right now, he's not able to engage at all. He's engaging with these fists up in this corner. Engaging with the throw loops. What's next?
That was the meatiest fireball. Jesus Christ. Meaty fireball and perfect distance to get both hits of the overhead? That is truly up to now. That's crazy to gauge that distance.
This guy Machabo. Optimal not only in combos, but the spacing. Perfect with the character. Interrupts the drive rush with the crouching medium kick. I like that. Run DP, medium crouching medium punch, no stand fierce. The fact that you get that Oki off of that this season is real good. Being able to run cancel. I mean, more forms of Oki, I should say. Kosa getting a little bit more aggressive, more active. Test with that crouch medium kick in the walk speed. Caught the backdash with the stand fierce. Thought it was going to be a throw. Good stuff from Kosa. Has him up in the corner. Oh, that could have been a DP, but does get the sweep. Knockdown. Whip punishes there.
What do you do now? Machabo's been on the back foot. We talked about the aggression that he was asking for from Kosa. Knocking on the door, back throw, not quite dead yet, but within range of the roundhouse regardless because you're put in the corner. Machabo thought it was his turn to act.
Buffer off the medium. Run DP. Nice and close for the throw this time. Kosa's got the bar. The backdash is there. Again, we've seen Machabo with a lot of backdash. This one works out. Allow himself outside that corner. Plus frame off the medium. Gets the counter at 3-piece. Drive rush. A little bit of a wait. Machabo takes his turn. The charge at level 2 for the variance of the fireball. Both whipping in the night. The punish counter comes through. Beside a Machabo. DP level 3. Wants the lead. Wants the drive gauge from Kosa. And this is bad. Up in the corner against the likes of Akuma. He's got the plus frame. OD fireballs to stand fierce, support fierce. A demon flips. He's trying to go for the fierce. It's a level 3. I'm sorry. CA. Pa! Sit down and shut up.
Machabo literally asked for more aggression. Guess what? He got it. Kosa waking up with a critical art. Absolutely insane. Very uncharacteristic of Kosa, as we see him play back foot majority of the time and also try to calculate his way out of danger. But that, with the risk behind it, you know, he's like, okay, maybe I'll turn a new leaf.
Even before New Year's, that's crazy. Machabo said, fight me. Kosa said, you got it, bet. I got you, bro. And I like that from Kosa, switching up when need be for that aggression, especially up in the corner. And the wicket reversals, Machabo not expecting that. He's got the first game. Shima looking to add 20 on it. Medium buffer, run DP, ender. Dash up, hits the buttons here. Machabo, even on the Oki scenario.
That's crazy.
With the
Even
Kuma,
after the
too.
forward dash, Kosa's like plus 6. That's insane.
Jinrai. Kosa with the back dash to clutch it out with some set point. A lot of these players, I feel like in Japan, do the first thing that happens when they think a throw loop is coming, it feels like, is they smash that back dash. I like that from both sides. Kosa being able to avoid the throw, get the punish counter as well, and a side switch in level 2 for the victory. A lot of activity. We'll see if that comes to bite them in the ass later on. We see like a button catching some of these back dash up in the corner. Again, a button. No, just the throw this time, the back dash. Machabo avoiding the throw.
Twice for the Oki, the uppercut. Big risk not paying off. Look at the amount of damage, gets a dump out, and also gets a burnout on top of that. I think Machabo wouldn't mind going for some sort of sneaky drive impact here just to waste a level 1 from Kosa. Just like that.
It's not enough. He thought he's going to build up level 1 and that sequence had to just kind of readjust, but still gets the overhead trade. More than enough for that transaction. Stay at the set point. Machabo. Yeah, I think he would like to take that level 1 away. Now, level 2's on the menu here for Kosa.
We're seeing a lot of the patience being tested from both ends. Kosa manages to punish Machabo for extending with the low medium kick, and also hovering around that range still is Kosa. That's when Machabo kind of sneaks into. Anytime Machabo tries to sneak in without a normal, Kosa eventually challenges with a light normal, which he just did right now. Now gets multiple throws off of this, drive rush forward, but no, the OD uppercut to stop that and halt that momentum. Doesn't want to bully him in the corner.
How long? How long though? The DP baits it out. Jab into nothing. Waits, baits. Level 1, burn him out. So bar at the bottom you have to worry about. Kosa has to find an opportunity. Falls to fireball. Push to the corner. Don't let him get close. OD fireball for the switch up. Might do a level 2 as well. Turns like the fireball. Spins out the cash and puts himself up a game. I like that. In a long distance where it'll be hard to that run DP level 3 at all. None of that goofy stuff. Keep him out as much as possible in the variance 2 with the OD. Disallow Kosa from getting in.
All tied up, 1 game apiece. Yeah, stealing your turn back 2 with a perfect parry. I like that. Focusing on the corner carry more so than the damage, considering the scaling. Forward throw now, gets the walk up, and also bait the throw exactly like he planned it. Gets to throw it again. Okay, the back dash instead for Machabo. Big punish against the sweep at least, to get the side switch. Kosa now being on the, I want to say sort of back foot because his drive gauge is low, but it doesn't seem that way with the amount of normals he's throwing out. Standing light kick again as a counter. What do you do about it? Machabo, no answer. Fierce to the fireball, gets him killed.
That send light kick we see every so often. That's been kind of like a ruler tool, a stopping tool against Machabo if he tries to drive rush in or tries to use buttons at some of these distances, and also against the crouching medium kick. However, that works out as he clips the crouching medium punch of Kosa. They go for the meaty fireball, OEDP, deletes that off the table. Meaty fireball and the drive rush, nothing. Trying to fake out something for Machabo, no bite. Does get the light, enhanced Tatsu for the yoke, double dashes up, 4 throw. Do another one. Ah, he did delay a little bit to catch the backdash. Caught the whip punish. We talked about it. Looking for that crouching mid kick. Gets the hit and sends him off with the soup. We said, you want me to get aggressive? I'll be aggressive. Kosa turns up like volume and turns up for his team. 20 points of totality.
Pretty hotly contested. I think that was pretty good to see like Kosa turn it up in regards to like his activity for whiff punishing, in terms of not giving up too much space also, and also noticing when Machabo was the one that to kind of like hang back. So I like the current package that Kosa is delivering.
Pretty good, pretty good. That stand light kick I feel like is such a good tool I think in this matchup. Obviously not picture perfect and dealing with everything that Akuma can present, but we're going to be using that to deal with the crouching medium kick. We've seen that also to kind of like harass a little bit to stuff. A space trap with the heavy, that is so smart. So if they try to go for like a 4 fierce or stand fierce, it'll catch him with the punish counter. There were good moments, like Machabo's fireball game is insane. I got to give him credit, but the variance up here has been just too much. Backdash and a stand light kick. He knew what he was going for. That anti-shimmy tool crouching medium kick is usually the way you want to lead yourself outside the corner as a Shoto, but he knew what to do. He plays a Shoto too as well. Kosa takes down Machabo, 20 points of totality. That leads us to the final game. It could be a blowout. It could be the tiebreaker. It's so heartbreakers. DetonatioN's out, but they like to cause damage to FUKUSHIMA IBUSHIGIN. Who do you send up? You said Sasamo. I agree, but man, imagine there's a world they just send up Yanai and just blow up all expectations.
Maybe.
Could happen.
Could be a possibility. We'll find out right now. Now it's time. IBUSHIGIN, who do you send up as your anchor? Yep, makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Time to take his ass to Sasamo Street. Nowman, I feel like, how much Ed experience has he had throughout the league? I actually want to take a look at that more thoroughly, but I feel like Ken versus Ed, a very, very common matchup that we've seen in the meta thus far. I don't necessarily know how much experience has against the way Nowman's been navigating this Ed as of late.
Like it's on both sides, like how much have you had practice against someone like Nowman, but also how much have you had practice against the likes of Ed, and have you developed a strategy? That was something we were asking over from Tokido, who proved it very soundly that he is already prepared for any Ed. But I feel like, again, you have to develop a strategy for that matchup. We've seen a lot of the Ken players talk about that. The chef's my boy Shuyi Singing, he was on his stream kind of detailing what both players were doing, and Tokido, like what his methods were. And, you know, we also talked about it, like the drive rush throw, jab, you know, mental stack scenario. That's just one element of Ken players that what they can do in that matchup. And I like seeing, I want to see if there's more evolution. And what now with the Ed players, if they congregated and said, okay, these Ken players, they found a way against our long limbs, against the mid-range. What do we do now? I'm sure they've converged a little bit and said, okay, what are we doing now against the likes of Tokido and that play style? Nowman isn't so similar to Tokido in that way. I feel like he's a little bit more optimal in terms of like his combos. He's definitely a Jidrai master too as well. I feel like his quarter pressure is really good, and also when he gets up in the corner, his defense is so good. I feel like he's always able to stomp out with a crouching medium kick, get a side switch. He's so good about that. We'll see what happens. I'm very curious to see Nowman up here, but not so much Sasamo. I feel like Sasamo, it makes sense. You know, on paper, Ed's usually pretty good against Ken. But Nowman says in his interview, my first time at the anchor match, so I want to win here, and let me make the team win.
So it is kind of rough, right? I mean, considering the point spread, how they're not going to make it into the playoffs, they could get the W here and kind of like ruin Fukushima Ibushigin's current run. Only, I guess, temporarily halt it, not necessarily ruin it. Now, I'm looking at this overall. Nowman playing the anchor spot, I can kind of see it, but his overall record thus far, right? If you look at the times he's played off against Ed, he lost to Yamaguchi 2-1. And even if you look at the specifics of this team, Nai actually took out Nowman 2-0. So thus far, Nowman has a losing record against both Ed and also against Fukushima Ibushigin.
Oof. At the same time, Sasamo also said, you know, I lost this matchup before, but we have a Ken Slayer Kosa to teach me, so I want to get a win for this team. So even more so, you got that practice with another Ken on your side. So I'm assuming that helps out. You see him also reassessing where he can stand so he can land the DPs if need be. Right now, he's blocking it out and kill rushing back. The drive rush stand fears, too committed to the flicker stance. Leads him to the corner. Perfect parry and gets a back though. No DP. I like this reversal though. Even better.
Oh, that is definitely punishable, but no, too far. He was way too far to get the extension, unfortunately. Maybe 2 crouching light kicks, perhaps, but oh no. As a commentator, I could not tell you what the intention was behind that.
Yeah, I have no idea either. Very wild foul right there. Good start though. Let's see if we can keep up that pressure and a little bit more, I guess, stable on defense. The backdash is there. Stand fierce finds the mark, but nothing after it. I do like him harassing with that tool continuously. Yeah, nice. Gotta stay in this mid-range as much as possible. The threat of drive rushing. The toe tap has not been able to do much work. In fact, it's leading to just damage this and giving away help. Dream team sequence right now.
Oh, you went for the kill rush forward? I couldn't tell you what that was, but I think holding flicker would have been just fine. From that distance too? Oh, you checked the low from Nowman. He was walking forward. That's crazy. Not a single meeting to be had from Nowman.
A lot of kill rush back to reassess. Not get drive rushed in. OD fire up ball, the fake out. Whip punish gets a heavy kick. Too far out for it. Another level 2 for you. A double dosage. And the jump heavy with the DP right after that is so sick. It's so Sasamo.
Damn. That also pick up from the air to lead into like maybe uppercut into another uppercut or whatever he wants really is so cool.
First game. It's Sasamo. He'll get the driver shift versus stand fears. Cycle blitz was after it. With the throw, he breaks though. The toe tap, again, he's been going for that so continuously. I feel like it's not a lot of reward. I want to see more of that drive rush, jab style, drive rush, stand fear style a little bit more. Maybe even fireball than toe tap. I don't think that's been working too often. There we go, drive rush. Into the throw. This time a button right after the jab. Switch it up a little bit.
It's been weird, right? Like seeing that toe tap go over like Nowman's decision making like twice, 3 times over thus far. But I mean, from these distances have been fine, but he would do it like back to back. Oh, that would have been so disastrous with the kill rush backwards too. He was still like far enough to escape. That's kind of crazy. On his counter on the roundhouse, not spacing out his normals correctly, whether it's the run step kick or even the stand roundhouse. Again, not safe. -5.
It's going to be a character that can punish that. It's going to be Ed. All the range he has on his lights, at minimum, you have to be so careful. That's why I think we also see him kill rushing back every so often. I mean, Sasamo trying to avoid that, does clip the button over the drive rush jab. There we go. Now, in front of his face, the tech. But again, I feel like it's just one bad mistake. I feel like Nowman might go for anti-air. Snap to Shinrai. Overhead lands. There we go. Toe tap in the combo. Works out way better. Closer for that heavy to hit.
Tick throw. Ooh, that's a good call out too against the spark. Chifujin right. Decent amount of damage, puts you at throw to kill. Doesn't need it. Does create a lot of space for himself too during the frame kill to appropriately punish the throw bait. Nice work, Nowman. Getting sharper per round. As soon as I say that, commentator's curse, you get the raw. Oh, you didn't actually go for the level 2. Huh. Maybe he tried to delay it and didn't get the right input, perhaps, or didn't get the right timing. I'd imagine you'd want to delay it for the chance at the one bounce, the Shin Dream.
Finally, we see it as a space trap here. The toe tap working out that counter combo. Jinrai Ender to the name, the throw right after. The fireball, no stand fierce to drive impact. And that is going to be that. Nowman being a little bit better about spacing out the things that he needs to. Obviously got dicey previously, but I have to wonder, as you mentioned, had he got that delayed OD cycle blitz off in level 2, would things have been switched up? The corner pressure has been too strong here from Nowman. If you would have been able to get that level 2 off, would things have been different in that match?
Free! Absolutely. You get the delayed level 2 off of a OD blitz as a punish counter 2, you're dealing so much damage. Like, insane amount of damage, insane amount of carry. You're clearing at least, like, almost 5K.
Should have went for it, but unfortunate. But I gotta give Nowman some credit though. In reverse, like he gets close up to driver's jab like we asked for, instead of just going for the same toe tap as we've seen so continuously. Yeah, he did it in the beginning, but at the very end, you saw it either as a combo, you saw it either as something that was like well spaced out, or as a space trap. So it kind of set him up for success a little bit later on with that sandlike kick right after. So that's what you want to see with that sort of special, right? You don't want to see it in a way where it gets punished so continuously. But I guess it's kind of hard because I don't feel like he's doing it on purpose. I think that's because Sasa keeps kill rushing back and always repositioning himself, where it becomes a problem where he'll walk forward right after and make it a lot more punishable and just walk forward and block and be able to get that punish on that -5. I do like, though, when Nowman gets close, he stays in as much as possible. So Sasa cannot afford those moments to happen, especially up in the corner, because Nowman's corner pressure has been one to definitely marvel at.
I want to see what the changes are now going forward with Nowman. With the way he's been playing too, it's been very hot and cold. I gotta be honest with you, man. I think his decision making hasn't really been like the firmest against Ed, against Sasamo in general. There's been a lot of like wake up decisions that have been mad questionable, and also the toe taps earlier on have been very unorthodox, very uncharacteristic of Nowman, in my opinion. And I can't imagine what that drop was from Sasamo towards the end. Like just going with OD Blitz and that's it?
Pretty bar for no level 2? Can't be doing that. Can't be game right now. Grab impact! Okay, too many buttons in the flicker, a little bit too obvious. And it's Tatsu. So it's the DP follow-up right after the double DP. High enough to fly, that was sick.
Look at the amount of pressure too. You get yourself the burnout, and now it makes the step kicks or all of the run enders really that much more problematic. Sneaking in the drive impact again. Nowman is looking much more of a force than he was in the previous game. Nope, not at all.
Ooh.
I lied. I lied again.
How many curses? How many curses are gonna put on these people?
I didn't say a damn thing.
Someone touch him.
You
he tried
know.
his biscuit for the biscuit. Oh, he's trying to go for the throw. He should have committed. No, level 1 in between the strings.
That was actually Sasamo's game to win. Off a counter hit also? You definitely get to link off of that. You look at that 6.
There we go. There's a level 2. As you mentioned, corner carry coming through. Key, kill rush. Into the flicker this time. Carry's fine though.
Carry.
Cycle blitz. Catch the walk back with the stand fierce, or I should say the walk up. Counter hit. Toe tap the proper distance. Again, risky. Interrupts the drive rush. Also interrupted the run cancel as well. Any sort of forward momentum of the movement is going to get checked and challenged. Game to game, round to round. What's going down? There's a lot of bar at the bottom here. Level 2 could be coming through again for Sasamo for an early lead if he's able to land it. Nowman needs to get this man to the corner expeditiously and get Grizzly and maul up all that hell.
Tick throw finds the mark. Sasamo looking to play the fireball game a little bit more, but no, the OD version absolutely decimates the chance of the flicker. And Nowman, if he can go to work and successfully find himself the burnout, which he might be able to up until this point. Yeah, Sasamo, he had a hit confirmed. He was going to level 3 regardless.
Makes sense. Get the lead. Get your bar back. You're back in the green. They're not. Be careful of the flicker pressure. No, he was out in the stands. Not allowed the toe tap the link in this level 3 scenario up in the corner. Oh, okay. Not even both sides. However, Nowman has the corner. He's got the lead and drive gauge. The overhead, the go ride kick, don't hit. Leg crouching medium push. Spaces out the Jin ride properly. Oh, I thought he was going to go for the DP. So did Nowman. Try to bait out a reversal. Another drive impact. You cannot be doing those Jin rides like that when he's got bar at the bottom and bar at the top. To be honest, you need the bar at the bottom. Excuse me. Just drive impact in between the string.
Yeah, Nowman to a point got a little bit too predictable, right? There's moments where he had a lot of pressure with Jin Ride that led into the burnout, but that was like the entire first round of game number 3 or game number 4? Question mark? Sorry. So with that in mind, it's like Sasamo eventually had to throw it out and make a solid guess, either with super or drive impact. I think he was more so willing to do it with drive impact, which is kind of crazy to say, but it worked out.
I guess it could be, as you mentioned, like if you're going for the same option over and over again, the opponent's going to have a way to rebuttal. And the drive impact, having the bar for that, at least for myself for Sasamo. I feel like Nowman, best way to say this, he has the right ideas. They're coming to fruition. It's just the timings and how long he sits on the idea is the problem. Right? I feel like that's the issue. Like, he does OD fireball, driver, stay fierce. That's what you should be doing, I feel like, in this matchup every so often, to cut through some of these normals, to cut through some of these, like, stand muticus that we see, some of the longer range buttons that are implemented to be able to get the driver, stand fierce, follow up right after. I like that. The toe tap as well, at the proper distances, been working out for him. When it's not happening is when he's sitting on that option too often or going for the Jin rises we saw up in the corner too often. Those are the problematic points. Now, if he's able to shore those up, I do feel like he'll be able to take down Sasamo, but Sasamo's have been having the reads on these gaps and been able to take them back in the rebuttal. And also Sasamo himself has been cleaning up. If you've noticed, I mean, we've seen it. Sasamo hit the OD Cycle Blitz in level 2 immediately when he got the chance and built the bar, got his damage off, things like that he needed to do that he didn't have previously. Sasamo started to add on things that he hasn't been able to do or been doing so consistently, while Nowman has been faltering. I think that's kind of been the shift right now in this matchup.
I think I could kind of agree with that for the most part. I think there's also been moments where Nowman had dropped some significant advantages for himself, where he would drop a combo. He would also like misstep during certain moments too. It's been, I think, a small slew of like questionable decisions from both ends, really. But I think right now, as it stands, Nowman might just be able to find the rebuttal he needs against Sasamo thus far, just as long as he doesn't make any silly mistakes. Damn, okay.
Oh, he is going green right now, and I do like that. He has him up in the corner, holding parry. So only has to worry about the strike. It's a flicker. Anti-air? Yes, sir. Leave for free. Oh, I don't know what he thought that was, but gets good with the medium. The drive gauge, both sides. Anti-air's there. Cycle upward. Now the back throw. The kid to killer.
I think that was the first one. The first one we've seen from Sasamo, right? I don't think he's been very consistent with the uppercuts thus far. We kind of called it over 2 times.
Yeah, no belief. You see him back walking right there, as you mentioned. Or walking underneath to get the punish counter. That works out too. There's a throw on the tap parry.
Uh-oh. Gonna hold that for the burnout too, and the chip sequence, that was actually so sick. Sasamo holding on to the flicker, forcing Nowman to drain out. That was actually kind of cool.
Hot decisions. You saw him go for the crouch community kick so far out the distance, knowing that Nowman, I'm sorry, Sasa could easily whip punish that. I'm very shocked that Nowman's doing these things that are leading him to the corner to lack of life and drive gauge. Whipping the heavy kick again. Why so many whips? And Sasamo ready, prepped and prepared to punish. It feels like every single time leads him to the level 3 for the victory. 40-point baller from the side of FUKUSHIMA IBUSHIGIN to close out Detonation FocusMe and their final match between the two teams. And now the last match that Detonation will have to be able to move on. Unfortunately, they will not be moving on at all. Even more so, but Sasamo, man, I don't know what was going on in that match with Nowman though. Like, I've never seen him play like this.
I think there's moments in time where you just kind of get discouraged. I don't know. I mean, looking at like Nowman's overall record, I gotta take a look at it again. But Nowman also hasn't had like the brightest record. Right? He's going into this matchup what, 1 of 5, I feel like. The only W he had against anybody in the league was against NagoyaNTPOJA's very own Mochi. Or sorry, against Otani, which is actually kind of wild. It was the Ken Mir. But outside of that, he has been struggling.
Man, like look at that, whipping the heavy kick at that distance. Why not like walk up stand fierce or OD fireball, use those as poke? I'm just surprised because I feel like Nowman, again, as we mentioned, just doesn't typically make these mistakes, these errors, especially when, you know, it's a one-touch scenario, as he knows. But Sasa more than ready and prepped and prepared to punish. 40 points totality. FUKUSHIMA IBUSHIGIN moves on with a bevy of points, which is big for them in the running too as well. I'd have to again look at how everything is going to stack up at the very end, but everything depends on the next 2 episodes, especially against Good 8 Squad. But this is a really good way to go into the next one, the final one for them. When they go up against Good 8 Squad, a very, very, very big W for them, which I'm shocked. I'm surprised that Detonation FocusMe didn't really show out. Yeah, they had some games, or I guess some matches, but not enough to really close anything out or gain some points on the line. And again, Nowman not playing the way that he usually plays. I feel like the Machabo match was obviously the closest one that we've seen in this match thus far. Itabashi getting absolutely clobbered. Just a very strange day, but again, you know, when you cannot lose anything, the stress weighs upon you. And then when you do lose, it's like your motivation kind of drains a little bit, I'm sure.
Surely, yeah. I'd imagine so. But just to kind of put things into place, you talked about it earlier. FUKUSHIMA IBUSHIGIN, we talked about how their performance affects them right now. They finally break the 200-point barrier, now at a 215-point position, which allows them to leapfrog over both Shinobism Gaming and Saishunkan Kumamoto, which is a pretty big deal because those two happen to be facing off against each other in match 3. And if anything happens in way of just 10 points or a 40 bomber, best believe one of these teams are going to be struggling to make up for it in match number 10. Week number 10, I should say, to be specific.
It'll be fun to see, but for right now, we're getting the interview. Yanai, who's sat on the bench, who has been, as you mentioned, I think more of a coach right now than a player. Not like he's been the worst person this season, but he's definitely been, I think, more giving advice to his team and really giving like a bird's eye view on what's going down. Has said, I was thinking of playing today, but my teammates were more motivated, so I was in the reserve. They were just too strong. He's talking about his team just being too locked in, and they've definitely been locked in. As we mentioned, Sasamo being able to have, you know, the Kinslayer Kosa to learn from, been fantastic. I think that's also one of the elements. You have just a team that has a good rotation of players that can learn from each other and play with each other and have a developed strategy, as we saw. And Kaku also says, listen, I was thinking Itabashi wasn't coming up today since I won last time, but he came out, so I had to win again. You are so nasty, Kaku. He's like, I had to make sure he knew who was the true meal ticket out here. He's like, you're buying. Next time we go out, you're definitely buying. 2 times he's beaten Itabashi.
5 games straight is what it is. 5 games straight against Itabashi's Zangief. Kaku easily has Itabashi's number. Now, I swear to God, if they match up against each other at Capcom Cup, I would be so happy. I would be so happy if it's a different story. Like, not to root against Kaku, I just want to see, like, maybe a closer story, at least, like, not a full-on blowout between those two. That would have been so sick. That would potentially be so sick. Right? We still have to see, like, Kaku participate his way with World Warrior. I don't know if they'll be attending Blink Respawn or Kings of the World? Question mark. But as it stands right now, Kaku being at 90 points in the World Warrior is a pretty significant deal.
Really good for him to be able, especially in that stacked region that we've seen a lot of these players. Some of our favorite players, some people's favorite players too, not even make it to the top 8 spot or top 16 spot in World Warrior. Just shows how ridiculously stacked it is over there. Kosa says, I trained for Machabo, but I was sick for the past week, so I couldn't play much, but I was simulating for this game. For this game. So preparing, I'm sure, you know, in training lab and things like that. And it, I guess, worked out. Sasa says, I was expecting to play Itabashi today. That's what I was thinking was going to happen too. But I went to Nowman at the last second. Great that I was able to win straight. And again, I feel like, obviously Nowman had some issues, but Sasa had better routings of the mistakes that he had, and was like, okay, if this isn't working out, I'll do this. Like, he wasn't right with his anti-airs, so he's like, okay, if I can't properly anti-air, if I don't feel like I'm comfortable anti-airing, I'll walk underneath, or I'll just block it out. And he found the proper punish. He had the punish counter with the side switch right there, using the walk speed, very fantastic stuff. And then, again, punishing the mistakes of Nowman, whipping heavy, kicking other buttons in front of his face, and going for the toe taps when he shouldn't. So good stuff from Sasa. I mean, again, he learned from Kosa. We have one of the best egg slayers in the business. You have one of the best kins in the business, so who better to learn from? Kaku says, we're on fire recently, and all we have left is a beat Good 8 squad. We'll do our best next week as well.
That's true. They have been having a pretty decent win streak as of late. They had a 40 bomber over in week number 7. They had a very tough hill to climb against Shinobism Gaming, got it 30-10. So I am definitely inclined to believe them. However, this is going to be a little bit problematic now going into the rest of the matches. As we talked about, the marquee matchups coming up real soon. As you can see it right there. Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto versus Shinobism Gaming. A lot on the line for both of these cats right here. For themselves, not for the other teams as much. Genuinely for themselves. Now, if either team walks away with 0 points or 10 points, they will be below the playoff line. They will be below playoff qualification spot. However, if it comes down to a tiebreaker, it is still going to be a little bit problematic depending on who gets those 5 points. I feel like for Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto, if they walk away with 20, I think they're going to be tied with FUKUSHIMA IBUSHIGIN, and also they had a better head-to-head record, so I think they maintain second status. Shinobism Gaming, however, let's say they win with 215. I wonder, actually, if that leaves them in a good position against FUKUSHIMA IBUSHIGIN, looking at their overall head-to-head record. I'd have to look at it again going into it, but I'll be sure to clarify that momentarily. But there is a high potential of seeing 3 teams at 215 points, which is actually kind of wild.
That's insane. I mean, for Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto, if they get 40 points this episode, they're straight up to the playoffs, as per mentioned by production team. So, like, that's also a wild thing to even think about. You see the teams also on these shirts. If you want to support, you can definitely grab that over on this website. I hope that, again, they get to ship this over to us. I would love to have it. I love to wear it, support the teams, because all these teams have been fantastic. All the players out here have been absolute demons over in Land Japan, whether it be singles or tournament, and they've been doing a lot of work. You saw the support you saw also the support in terms of like the audience and people being like, let's go Gachikun, let's go. Also, I guess Noah's not Japanese, but still, support overall on the Japanese team has been more than amazing. And I see them also on the shirts. You can also wear them on the shirts too as well. Honestly, you know what? I kind of want the NTPOJA one, that one, or maybe Shinobism Gaming to support my boy Fujimura. I feel like if I had to collect or just had 2, I think those are the 2 I would pick overall. But it's cool to have them have this kind of merch, that kind of support, which runs again deep over in Japan. And I hope that we get that similar sort of support everywhere in all the leagues, and this kind of merch everywhere. Because I think it's really cool to see the teams supported in a way of like normal sports, right? Like you get to see people's faces and jerseys and stuff. We see that a little bit with these sports, not comparably to normal sports, but I'd like to see some like the faces and stuff like that, and all that cool merch. Just overall, I just like seeing overall love and support for fighting games in this fashion. Just go further than just the usual, oh, we have just like a little t-shirt, whatever, with the emblem on it.
Yeah, no, I think it goes a long way. I mean, the way that everybody has reacted to a lot of the players out in Japan has been a very positive one, to the point where it's like almost superstardom. I think a lot of the players and a lot of the fans kind of realize that now, like how big of an impact Street Fighter 6 has on the current culture of fighting games, the current culture of video games, really, in 2024. So it's really, really cool to see how this is played out. I personally, though, if the Good 8 Squad one comes in a black t-shirt, sign me up, brother. I know the Fukushima IBUSHIGIN one also comes in black, so I want at least to pick up those two when I get around to it. But as it stands, you know, we've talked about this plenty of times over what this all leads up to. The playoffs happening in December on the 21st and 22nd. You guys do have the access to it. If you want to check it out live, you can see it. It's pay-per-view. However, if you want to catch it free, you're going to have to wait a week after, if I'm not mistaken. But more importantly, the grand finals taking place in February to determine the #1 champion of Japan, team-wise, to face off against the other champions of Street Fighter League US and Street Fighter League Europe.
Absolute bangers upon bangers. Even leading up to that, it's going to be amazing watching all these teams fight it out. You know, US is obviously going on. EU's going to be starting real soon, so catch all that action. We'll detail that at the very end of the show, at the very twilight hours of the show. But again, it's been great to see all these teams, you know, fight it out and try to be the best in terms of like that, I guess, team-based and sort of instead of like the singles. So we'll see what happens months later on. But right now, we'll have to see what happens with Saishunkan Kumamoto and the final team that Shinobism Gaming. After this break, people, one more match will determine so much. We'll be heading off to the playoffs, or if we have to have more in terms of contention. After this break, more Street Fighter League action coming right at you. Don't go nowhere.
最瞬間ソル熊本対シノビズムゲーミングの模様をお届けしてまいります。再開は10分後、21時19分頃予定しております。お見逃しなく。それでは一旦失礼いたします。
失礼します。
Yeah, come on, everybody come alive real quick. Battle of the strong, survival of the fit. Take your best shot, hope you don't miss. I ain't never scared, never quitting is the motto. Yeah, come on, everybody come alive real quick. Battle of the strong, survival of the fit. Take your best shot, hope you don't miss. Among us. Take it much farther. Fast with the hands, E Honda. Defend my legacy with strength and honors. I'm the greatest ever. It's a showdown. This is my arena.
20は取ったから。
OK です。
確かに。これでもう、引き分け以上だからね。
いや。
40取るよ。
40取るですよ。
飛びしてドライブ。
OK。
そっち。へえ。
使っていく。
なるほど、そういうプランか。人生2回目になるとこういうプラン選ぶんだな。
長いコンボが始まるな。
おい、最高かよ。
やはりシャドウライズ。
いいよ、怒ってます。うますぎるでしょ。
でかい。
どうする？さあクラッシャ
ー。おお、ここだ。そうだ、読みゲーだってもう貯めてた。ゲージ貯めてた。マジか。起き上がりゲージ貯めてた。
かなり樋口優勢でしょう。
はい。
卒の頃からダメ。
はい。
ダメ。
美味しいんじゃない？
持たないぞ。
これは
ナイス。ガイル。普通だ。
いやー、ここでのいいねー。ですよ
ー。これは嬉しいな。ガイルだったな。
MVP だな、これは。
Weekly Street Fighter League Japan Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto Nemo
さあ大谷前飛びは通したんですが着地硬直かられている。
残るが、これ削りで終わりだろうと。
そうですね、サイコマインをつけている。ここは連続が
これは
うまくドライブリバーサルに反撃から中段取った。
まずい。
さあこの後どうする？ OD 使って刻めるだけ刻むが残るか判断。さあこれでバウンドはでもしかしここでのスカシゲダン
手からジャスパーを狙いましたね。立ち込まんと
うわー、ここでのシミでも連携だけじゃない8割で崩してきた。
The biggest match going in for both of these teams. Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto going up against Shinobism Gaming. Best believe it's going to be so impactful going forward as there's only one more week to play after this. Starting things off with the team on the away side, Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto with the attack on heavy tank. That is Fudo with a remarkable performance this past weekend. Followed up by the living legend himself, Daigo Umehara ga, the legend. Man, one of my favorites as of late, actually for a while now. It's the Prodigy, Higuchi coming in with the Guile, and the fact that he had to face off against no other Prodigy, insane this weekend. And the Brute King himself, the Violence Emperor, Nemo. Really interesting stack of teams, really interesting composition. I'm kind of curious to see what is going to be played out, considering they're the away side, who they're going to send up first, and also whether or not it's going to be enough to stop this coming team right now.
The coming team is Shinobism Gaming, currently in third. At least how we start off the day. We'll see how we end the day. Depends on their play. And again, as we mentioned, this is pivotal here for Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto. They need 40 points to be in the playoffs. Shinobism Gaming looking to stop that, stuff that, and be in that top spot. 40-baller of their own. We'll see what happens with them. Let's also get them introductions going for this top-level talent, this team, this school of ninjas. All right, we're gonna have to start off with the swankiest one in the business. It's always running the hand signals. I don't know what they do, but I do know that it's a swankiest ninja coming through. Johnny on the Mani Masabarisa and maybe the Bison, depending on the matchup or depending on how he feels. And I feel like we have the Gravemaker coming for you. It's Fujimura digging all the ditches for his opponents with the Akuma, going great with that Goki, especially over this weekend. Now, after that's going to be the Vanguard leading the charge, generally speaking, it's going to be Yamaguchi on the Ed, putting people to sleep. If you want to put people to bed for a long time, it's going to be Mochi staying prime out here, who leads the charge with all these Ed picks. This guy is so sick on the Ed, has definitely developed that character to the furthest. This is a squad where I kind of panicked a little bit because I saw two Eds on there. Johnny really hasn't been coming up and showing out. And who knows what Fujimura is going to be able to pick and play during like the beginning of everything. But look at where they're at right now. When we came in, third place, looking to score as many points as possible to be in the playoffs, can definitely do so, but have to go up against such a strong team that is Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto. Let's see what they bring up. Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto first on the away, and then how Shinobism responds on home.
Yeah, this is kind of difficult too. Looking at the current roster now, Higuchi, Fudo, and Daigo, Guile, Ed, and Akuma. This is a lot to really take in, considering how many points you need to stay alive. But again, they have a 5-point advantage currently against Shinobism Gaming. If they manage the tiebreaker scenario, Shinobism Gaming will also cause the three-way threat between themselves, Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto, and FUKUSHIMA IBUSHIGIN.
This order, I think it's time for Giant to come through. If there's a matchup that Marisa can work well in, at least in the last season, I haven't really seen it this much this season. I don't know if it's changed so drastically that it's not the case anymore, but I feel like Marisa might be finally a good pick. We've seen that she's so good in terms of like the exchange. When Guile sends out the Sonic Boom, she's got the Gladius, she's got the Superman Punch to go over it. Her exchange rate is going to be better in her fashion, and it's going to be Johnny coming up, and I would assume it's going to be Marisa. It is going to be Marisa. Okay, let's go. Finally, we see Johnny being able to be fit in properly in some of these matchups, especially on the home side, where I feel like he hasn't really had a chance to do so thus far.
I don't know how I feel about this one. If I'm being genuine about it, I don't know for a couple of reasons. Johnny hasn't played in a long time, I feel like. But looking at his overall performance, he hasn't had a single win just yet. And the last time they played, he had to face off against Nemo, which was a pretty much yielded undesirable results for himself and the team. My man is 0-2 thus far. So I'm thinking to myself, Shinobism Gaming, what made them falter last season was their decision making in regards to them being in the home squad. I really hope this doesn't screw things over for them because they need 30 to 40 points to remain in good standings this week. They need as much of a buffer as possible going into week number 10 to get away from Fukushima IBUSHIGIN. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see why and how Johnny's going to play off in this match.
Yeah, when you talk about someone that hasn't been playing that much, like whatever is on paper may not even matter if they haven't been warmed up, prepped, and prepared to actually play an actual matchup. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool, hey, on paper, maybe my character does well or, you know, is able to eke out a 5-5 right there. But if your player isn't ready for these moments and hasn't proven themselves to be ready, when things are on the line, it may not be so good. But we're getting an interview here. Higuchi says the league is in a big climax right now, and we don't know if we can proceed to the playoffs. But we have to say, though, they are in a better shot right now than most teams. We'll put it that way. Against Johnny, I lost him recently, and I want to get revenge. So at least they played recently, I'm assuming in the World Warriors, and he wants to get revenge on him. So at least there's credit in terms of, like, or history in terms of, like, them playing. But then again, you find someone like Higuchi, and you beat him the first time, he's going to go to the lab for hours upon hours to lab you out, to lab your character out right after, and going to find an answer. Like, he's one of those types of players that will go to the lab and not emerge until he has the proper answer. Like, I feel like that's also why he came up, knowing that there's a possibility that Johnny will come back and try to fight him. Like, so it's also difficult to be like, yeah, well, you beat him last time. It may not matter this time, though.
I agree with that. I think what happens in a game prior to league starting is more than enough information for a person like Higuchi of his caliber to figure out what needs to be done. I think in terms of player to player, I also think Higuchi happens to outclass Johnny just by a bit. It's not by like a vast measure, but I think Higuchi has been well more rounded in regards to his overall performance in the world in comparison to Johnny. But we'll see, man. Maybe Johnny sees something that we don't. Maybe there's a reason why Johnny is so confident in stepping up to the plate. But as it stands right now, it has not shown. Higuchi has been moving all over the place thus far to correct the anti-air and also neutral jump against the advances from Johnny. Back to back into the same types of scenarios. Higuchi in full control.
Until drive rush, buffer right after, knockdown, back the bunker up in the corner, Superman punch, keeping the jump fierce, gets him back the bunker for the opening. Well, he did, but it was a counter hit. Again, looping the scenario, trying to go for the command grab, the jump back is there, he was aware. Gets a knockdown for the corpse hop for the throw right after. Strike those where she dies up in the corner is definitely where she will get crumbled. The backwalk, actually afraid to press the issue, but it's fine. The anti-air with the level 1 is right there. The Sonic Hurricane. The aerial approach covering a lot of space up in that place. Good stuff here from Higuchi. It was all bait the entire time. I get it, Higuchi.
That was beautifully done too. He's still going to be a threat with the level 1 regardless. Within that range, anti-air, that damage would have been so great. You get the knockdown as well, and the corner carry into the corner itself, actually. But no! Again, trying to go for the Scootum and command grab.
The variance here of the Sonic moves, they get it hard to read and get like a proper Superman punch. I think we see more jumps here from Johnny. Can't find the right reach just yet in terms of maneuvering the booms, the buffet of booms, as we say. OD to switch it up a little bit. Johnny blocks it out. Feeling that drive gauge. Parry, block, perfect parry, but still the anti-air is on point.
Oh, committing to the baseball normal is kind of rough too. A lot of recovery on that bad boy. Johnny is in trouble. He has to wake up with the super. And Higuchi sniffed it out. Hook, line, and sinker too, which makes a lot of sense the way that he's been kind of providing some of these, I want to say, like, big pieces of intel. He knows for sure that he can get away with a lot of throws against Marisa because that's clearly one of her biggest weaknesses. Even if she were to backdash any sort of throw, she doesn't recover in time to take her turn that way. But also, the only way for her to safely get out of a throw loop is a super level 3 or even like a level 2.
Yeah, I also like him just dealing with like the general approach to it. We saw like the forward heavy kick try to initiate some sort of pressure or clip a button maybe preemptively. Higuchi was already up in the air. He was like, I know what's coming through. If you try to go for like a gladius at this distance or a heavy kick or that forward heavy kick, as we saw, he neutral jump, he had the proper button. Also good defense from the side of Higuchi. It wasn't just like, I'm going to go for like a flash kick. I'm going to jump back, avoid when I think you're going for a throw, and then go for a sequence that's not going for damage or just like to back them up for like positional advantage so he can walk himself outside the corner. He actually went for the corpse hop instead continuously. Like he's very well understanding of the matchup. And like, if I put this character up in the corner, she dies to lows and throws. And so I can enact that more often if I need to. And you saw him just also walk away from when he had the advantage. He's like, because if you jump, I'll just hit the level 1. I have these OD sonic booms if I want to. There's so much variance in what he's doing for the projectiles. Maybe this matchup is not that bad for Guile these days. Or maybe, again, Higuchi has found the routes and how to deal with Johnny's play overall. Has studied, again, the tapes continuously and has obviously had an answer. And Shinobism Gaming taking some time out to deliberate on what to do because, again, this is pivotal. They need as many points as possible. Shinobism Gaming, I'm sorry, Seoul getting 40 points would be critical. They're in the playoffs, right? I think that's what production had told us. Now, if Shinobism Gaming gets 40, that'll be set them up for success, very much so. So this is pivotal on both sides. Like, you don't want to not gain any points or go down or have it be useless.
So if they score 40 points, it guarantees in the spot in the playoffs. They're not secured currently into the playoffs. They have to 40 ball.
Right, for Seoul.
Yes. For both teams, really, I think, if you're looking at it from that perspective, in terms of Shinobism Gaming with what? They could have like what, 230 points? You phrased it in a way where I was thinking that Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto had already made it in. That's not the case.
Oh, my mistake. Definitely more than any of that 40 bomb today. Could happen, but Giants trying to delete that from the equation. OD flash kick, a little more in terms of like those rebuttals, a little more usage of the bar. You jump again against these forward momentum movements. We see like the Superman punch, the forward heavy kick. Still caught up in the corner. That drive game's not looking so good. Has to hold parry. Level 1 again.
Damn.
Yeah, you don't want to spend that OD gauge. I get it.
Man, look at all the damage that he's taking just chucking out blooms, chucking out the level 1s. Johnny is not able to jump from that far away either. It is tough, man. All the right ranges. The 3.5 range, oh man. Then you tried to slap with a V-reverse, the drive reversal, excuse me. This is looking too clean for Higuchi. Despite the perfect on the end of Johnny from first round, this is looking too frustrating.
Back to full screen now. Sonic Blade, you see the OD, the switch up with the Sonic Boom pressure has been difficult to deal with him. When he tries to even drive rush in and walk in, there's a neutral jump. Hold on now. Horus, the Gladius, level 3. Huge lead right here coming up in the corner now. There's no Oki this season. A little bit more room to breathe here for Higuchi.
Has to
See
drive
what Johnny
up.
does. Drive rush, stay fierce. Yeah. Spin that bar.
That could have been disastrous. Still gets the punish counter though. Survives another game. He sure does. Johnny looking emphatic too towards the end of that round, popping off in his camera.
I'll switch up here for Johnny has been wait for what he's doing up in the corner because he's panicking, right? You see the jump backs, which makes sense because Johnny will overextend with a button and will get clipped and hit. Now Johnny just waits for him to like whip his stuff and especially that cartoon kick as we saw and get his punish off. So the objective is to keep him up in the corner and harass from there and put Higuchi on the back foot. What a backdash. Gets a punch guy with the crouching kick against the forward heavy kick. The calls are fantastic on the side of Higuchi. Drive rush trying to get the stand medium kick, did not get the pickup. That would have been sick.
I think a little bit too early. But now Johnny gets harassed in the corner. We get the scoot him and fold. Bang. The first command grab to really land convincingly. Yeah, bait out the drive reversal. Now it's really Johnny who's become the threat against the Guile matchup, not necessarily Marisa. Johnny's been making all the right reads thus far against Higuchi's movement and his normal selection.
think it was normals, being able to go for the Superman punch and go for this armored options, nice and close. Very smart stuff, perfect parry. Beautiful read in between the string to get that blue stuff off. Now to the corner we go again. West side flow. Oh yes, calling out the Sonic Boom. A reversal and the burnout in my own terms. However, it's at the level 2, maybe to push him back if he's able to get that heavy kick hit. Interruption. Oh, let this be an execution if Johnny has it his way. The air-to-air drive impact level 1. That's ball off the table you have to worry about. You'll take that.
Oh, that's far enough. Johnny actually sneaks one in there. He gets the big W against Higuchi. Made some really heavy reads. Made some really precise calculations too against his fierces and also the utilization of his armor. Pretty wild. Pretty wild that he cooked. I can't. Johnny can barely believe it.
Wow. I don't think I've ever seen a scrap of emotion from Johnny. I've met him in person, stone face, even if he's joking around. He's a great guy. But to see him break down like this, you can see how much it means to him for the victory, for his team. Again, as you mentioned, has not been showing out. In fact, it was looking very much so in Higuchi's favor. But he put him up in the corner, made the proper reads, the proper execution, was able to call some of these normals with the armored options we saw with the Superman punch. And right there, as I mentioned, jump back, look for the button to try to get like a punish counter. Johnny waited and baited, got his punishes off. And again, Johnny with these fantastic reads. Look at that. Drive reversal call out with the super armored option. That was godlike from Johnny. And back walking, get the anti properly. We have not seen a victory here for a Marisa player in a long time, especially out here in the league because we only have one out here. But Johnny gets it done. 2-1, 10 points. Shinobism game starting off very, very strong.
Insane. The very first W on the side of Johnny and the very first L for the side of Higuchi. My man has been looking damn near perfect throughout the entirety of this season. I gotta say, let me double check though. I feel like that's not necessarily true in regards to his very first L. Is it? Damn, it is. My man was 7 out of 7 going into this match. That's crazy. This guy is insane.
Wow. All done by Johnny. The clutch got in the twilight hour. And Mochi goes up next, which is wild because I thought Mochi might go up as like the anchor at the very end, even if it's not the best matchup for Ed. He's just so warmed up and prepped. He's going for the mirror match.
That's rough too. I don't necessarily feel like Mochi has had the upper hand against Fudo anymore with the way that things have kind of like stirred up with the mirror match, but I kind of wonder now if all of the practice and all of the matches that have been happening towards like the from the previous Super Premiere in Japan, if Mochi has a different outlook towards playing Ed offensively instead of reactionary.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, you know, when we think about like the more aggressive Eds, Fudo is so good about this, you know, playing that play style. He's so good about also having bar by being active, so he's always building a bar. We saw that with DJ, we see it with his Ed play. And of course, he's more willing to use OD Fireball to claim a lot of space, where other Ed players are kind of looking for maybe OD Flicker in between strings every so often. Not just talking about the mirror match, which is overall. Maybe looking for OD in other areas, like OD Cycle Blitz for like level 2 activation. He's willing to spend that bar as much as he wants to claim space and dash up and get to that mid to close range to get aggressive with it. And I feel like, as you mentioned, the reactionary play of Mochi doesn't always work out, but also, you know, Mochi's the type that, you know, something doesn't work out after a little bit, he'll go back to the lab a lot of time to figure out what he needs to do to readjust his playstyle to work out better. If I need to get aggressive, then I'll get aggressive. Like, I feel like that is something that maybe that CPT Japan premiere helped him in doing so in terms of reevaluating himself, even though it's only been a few days. I think it is enough time for him to at least mentally think, I have to at least do things better or be more active in any matchup to be a little more solid.
Yeah, I literally had highlighted that prior, talking about Mochi possibly taking a different outlook in comparison to his performance over in the premiere, right? I just kind of like mentioned, you know, there were moments where I feel like he could have been a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more sharp in regards to like the movement and also to some of the punishes, the whiff punishes that he could have had. I mean, is there anything else that you think should be done from the side of like Momochi or even Fudo?
See, I don't know. My only issue with this kind of thing is like when you have players that are literally like coming from like a CPT like Premier, like to see the change up within a couple of days or like a day, I don't know if things can happen so fast. You feel me? Like you might have like the idea of something like the genesis or something.
Okay,
will
so
you have it during the match in totality, like a game plan?
Give me,
you know what I'm saying? Like in full effect.
give me your perspective on. I feel like, I guess the mirror matchup right now in the current status of like Fudo and Momochi both having their L's in like the premiere, right? I mean, like I kind of preface it with speaking about like how they kind of had these shortcomings that I felt like were not as obvious, but with the amount of practice that they can have within those amount of days and also the footage that they've had, it's like you know they're gonna make those type of adjustments already. Like you know for certain because of the way that they are as players, right? So I was kind of curious as to like what your like other perspective is in regards to like where they're at currently after the Super Premiere.
I mean, for like Fudo, I feel like watching him play, it's like he overextended a little bit more too often, like with flickers and things like that. That may have been to his downfall, if I'm remembering correctly. It feels like that was kind of like his error point. And so maybe that will be something that he pulls back a little bit from and thinks about maybe using different button times and things like that to cover those spaces instead of just going for flicker to continuously where it allows him to get jumped in on, or they make the proper reach for like a drive impact or whatever it may be. I think those timings may have to switch up a little bit. For Fudo, that's been, I wouldn't say like a constant issue for him, but I feel like he's more aggressive and he leads himself to using flicker a little more often as well to claim drive gauge, to claim space overall. And then players read upon that and react with a jump or drive impact or whatever it may be. It doesn't always lead to him to getting what he wants against the drive gauge. You talk about Momochi being the reactionary. We can touch upon that too continuously. Momochi, I have to wonder if we're going to be seeing more, honestly, charge up stand fierce as we see from like likes of Lashar. Like if we need to get a little bit more aggressive, need to establish more of that space, maybe charge up stand fierce might be a good way to do so. Maybe actually taking a page from Fudo's book and using OD Fireball also maybe to switch up to. We'll have to see.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to see from Fudo. Actually, the utilization of the Fireball game is much harder, I feel like, to contend with because, again, of the ambiguity between letting the spark fly, throwing out a slow one, throwing out a fast one, right? It kind of sets the pace a lot, but it also could set up Momochi in a bad way where if he decides to jump over something and maybe like the flicker happens to be the anti-air one, it could be disastrous. So we'll see. Fudo, I was going to say he was doing a great job of halting the forward momentum from Momochi altogether, but now it's different.
Like a blitz, the jabs right after, didn't commit too much after. Surround those jabs in between the strings. Mochi, as you mentioned, taking a more aggressive stance right now. Grasping the drive gauge. I like that. These sequences and backing off with the kill rush in the proper space. And I want to see that charge up here also from Momochi to kind of switch things up a little bit, but it might be kind of hard when you see the stance up and the fireballs disallowing that approach. Fudo is not the type to kind of hold back at all. Shab, as you see right there,
It's
tech
tough
to throw.
I think with the Fierces too, I think it's a little bit tougher to manage because there is like a little bit of an animation that kind of telegraphs it. So I think players would be able to kind of like backdash as well, or even not even charge up their fireball all the way. Oh, that's a big pickup.
That was a nasty pickup.
It's a level 1.
OD fireball.
Yeah, you got it.
Fudo. This guy, using the OD Fireball, I like him using this. This is an overall tool that he's been using in every matchup, not just the mirror match. Perfect parry and the punish right after. Psycho Blitz, what's after it? Kill rush throw. Corner we go. Momochi, again, getting very active.
Oh.
Able to block your time against the drive impact.
I want to know what the response is now going forward with the with some of the flickers and some of the fireballs too, but the exchange too could have been a lot bigger. We get that. Totally understandable. The burnout is gonna happen. Momochi looking very confident right now.
Yeah, level 1. However, this is fine. You've stolen a level 2 dream scenario from him. Obviously, you wouldn't want to activate without it, without drive gauge. Level 1 again. Take that bar. You have such a big lead. He's not back. It's another drive impact. And as he tries to jump, could knock him down or just take him down on the ground with another drive impact. Again, but Sam Fierce in the combo converts into a W. And that's less bar at the bottom you get to deal with. Less you have to worry about in the level 2 scenario. Slight walk back, good adjustment here from Fudo. With the damage off, the Cycle Blitz right after. Jab, try to stick it low. Mochi blocks it out.
Yeah, that's just really good game sense too from Mochi, right? I think he was willing to make that assessment call and force Fudo to make those last-second decisions against the drive impact, which leads to this very moment too. I think Mochi, he had to drain as much resources to even out the playing field going into Game 3, but right now, Fudo, not too happy about it. I feel like he was playing a little bit more aggressive round after round after round, but Mochi hanging back just a little bit, waiting for the mishaps too, and also looking for the overextension with the meter. Uh-oh. That is way too much to pursue with an uppercut that like has so much startup on it.
Fortunate. Fudo in the lead to get that bar back real soon. You want to block this out as you build up your bar back by holding block. And then back to the OD Fireball game. Establish the flickers a little bit better for him. Left from that mistake, Mochi. He's not out of this just yet. He's got bar at the bottom too as well. Gets that level 3 off. Drive impact! No splat. With a whole parry between. I don't think it's taken between a fireball. No. Fudo just locks him out continuously in mid-range.
I like the anti-air decisions too coming in from Fudo. Very much so range dependent. I like that crouching heavy kick to kind of sneak that in. It's not the first time we've seen that too. Him fully utilizing some of the crouching normals in every regard is so impressive.
Counter hit knockdown, Cycle Blitz. This time back swing, looking for a reversal possibly. Oh, what a jump! And Mochi able to get a nice little pickup off of this. Cycle Blitz can rush right after it. The jabs. Knockdown after knockdown. Walk back is there, but no stand fierce. Wasn't able to get off in time. When he fireball, gets the knockdown, gets the space. I like that, the bar usage from Fudo. And I feel like he's better in the green overall than we see Mochi. Or continuously at the very least. That bar nice and healthy.
I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like he's put himself into burnout way more often than Mochi has, but he's also landed some really impactful decisions to lead into big damage against Mochi. Because right now he's at the deficit as well.
Mochi definitely more in the green as you mentioned. Avoids the driver's jab. Good read on the flicker. Gonna be a pain point for him. Mochi able to read the string.
Yeah, this level 2 should be more than enough too. Step in air. No, I guess not. I guess not. That wasn't a punish! That was not a punish from the perfect parry. I can't imagine what it was that Mochi tried to do. I don't even think it was a counter hit. What did he get hit by? What was he doing to get hit?
I don't know. Fudo on set point, but pivotal mistakes. Oh, the canceling the drive impact against the OD Spark. It was actually normal Spark, to be honest. Not sure. Calls out the throw. Now so Mochi on the back foot. Mochi riding his momentum. Yeah, his anti-airs have been just too on point.
Oh, it's gonna be lights out. No, you didn't go for the level 2? What is happening today? Double bounce. Kill rush forward, upper. Didn't even get to complete the entirety of the combo. Oh, you're hella dead. Fudo still salvaging the moment, getting it 2-0 against Shinobism Gaming's own captain, Mochi. It all fell apart too, man.
Very strange. Up in the corner, what was forgiven? I don't, you'll see something, you're like, I can't tell you why those moments happen, but I will give Fudo credit to be able to pick these things up and be a little bit more prepared to the proper punishes off, even though he wasn't able to land that level 2 scenario in the end. It could have been bad, but he stays solid overall. We saw, the adjustments every so often. Yeah, there were some drive impacts against some of the flickers right after some of these buttons from the side of Fudo, but overall, he hit it off pretty well. Like, it wasn't so obviously called out. And I did like, as you mentioned, like the anti-airs at the perfect distance, like mid-range, anti-airs in full range, especially up in the corner. And if he's spinning bar, he's usually out at the benefit, at least in the very end. But again, some mistakes just led to lack of drive gauge, lack of health. 10-10 right now, it all comes down to this. So no 40 bomber for either team, which is going to shake things up a little bit. Who do you send up to end things off? If it's not Mochi, is it going to be Fujimura to run the mirror match? Is it going to be Yamaguchi to end things off?
I don't
know.
I like Yamaguchi. I don't care how much practice Daigo has had against some of the Ed players. I think Yamaguchi steps up to the challenge and plays it out. But we'll find out. It could be. I mean, like, I'm not opposed to the mirror either, but we'll find out momentarily.
Ah, as you mentioned, Yamaguchi. Relying on Yamaguchi to end things out. Why do you think Yamaguchi should go up though? Like, what do you like about his style against Daigo, just in general, or just being here in the anchor match?
It's not specifically against Daigo, right? I like Ed's. I think I like Yamaguchi's Ed performance offensively against his current record that he has right now. I think he's been feeling very, very confident, and also offers a much more aggressive style that certain players aren't ready for. Whether Daigo is ready for it or not is a whole different question, just based off of how he's been practicing against a lot of the Ed players these last couple of days. So I won't necessarily say it's specifically geared towards Daigo. It's more so geared towards Yamaguchi having a very solid record of playing an aggressive style Ed. I wanted to see personally just how this plays out, just for the sheer content of it, and to see who would actually win. I wouldn't necessarily say Yamaguchi is the best fit for it, but I would also say, like, I think in terms of like what's been happening these last couple of days, it just makes a lot of sense for Yamaguchi to step up to the challenge.
I think, actually, to be honest, on paper, I'd rather him go up than Fujimura run the mirror match. I think Fujimura is really good. He's a really good player. He's understanding of what's really strong about the character. Excuse me. He's really good about understanding like what's strong about the character. However, when it comes to Akuma and like footsies, I think Daigo's footsies are just immaculate. And I think in a mirror match, I think he does really well surviving what Akuma wants to do, what other Akumas want to impart upon him. And honestly, Daigo himself has been able to go toe-to-toe with people a lot more because he's changed up his style. He used to be more of a turtle-based, fireball-based, forward medium kick sort of style, using like some of the parts of Akuma. Now he uses all of the parts. He's demon flipping all around. He's doing teleports. He's got proper setups and things like that. He's really coming into form with this character in an aggressive style, which is the way he should be playing Akuma. So I think that when it comes down to it, I think this is proper for both sides. We are getting parts of the interview. Daigo says, I lost to him last time, but I want to win and make my worth here. Yamaguchi says, I know this is important, so I'm just gonna win.
So I was looking at it earlier. One of the biggest questions I had on my mind was what the record was like against Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto prior, and I didn't realize it. But it seems to me that Yamaguchi does have a positive record against Daigo in the league. He has beat him 2-1. However, in the anchor spot, that could spell a lot more trouble for Yamaguchi if Daigo is given another chance. But we'll see. I think when we saw that exact matchup, I think this was in week 4, Yamaguchi was playing so well, outspacing Daigo, and also out-utilizing the spacing with aggression, primarily with the flickers.
Yes, it's right there. Being able to perfect pair and get the flickers off, as you mentioned, takes a lot of work. I mean, these fast fireballs up like the heavy and things like that, switch up with OD or level 2, it's hard to deal with. Daigo, now ever more aggressive than what he used to be, is even more of a threat. Dash up throw. The shimmy off the medium. Adamant fist. Josh Fierce fireball. Heavy get Tatsu right after this.
Oh my god. Yamaguchi has not been able to turn it on just yet, but I like that too! Navigating past the guillotine.
Walking block. Unfortunately, going for the tech though. Yamaguchi's defense is pretty good. I like him at least walking and blocking, trying to entice something out from Daigo. Of course, we got to open up, charged up, level 3 fireball. The dash up is there in between the gap. Hits level 2, just like that, we're going to get these dream sequences off. The rush. He took over the throw right after. Daigo techs. Critical to stay alive. They've been punish counter off a perfect parry. Would have died.
Oh,
this corner though.
So difficult for Daigo, but I think it might just be doable if he manages to whittle a little bit more health. Well, from Yamaguchi, that could have been disastrous if you ran into it, but still, got enough in the tank? Yes, you sure do. Yamaguchi, the big W.
That's a walk back too as well, the micro step walk back, just to avoid. He's been so good about that in like all games that he's played, 5 and 6. See him good on defense in these minute decision-making opportunities. Leading fireball, backdash to the stand fierce, trying to find an opening. Interruption, Daigo with the sweep, go for the Oki, go for the back throw. No, forward throw by already holding forward. Unfortunately, wasn't able to switch positions. But back to mid-screen isn't too bad.
Corner carrying the damage as well. A little bit of mistiming from Daigo trying to go for the overhead. Yamaguchi managed to get a defensive back throw. Level 3 is incoming. That's going to be enough damage too to seal out game number 1. Already out to a different outcome in comparison to what happened in week 4. Yamaguchi striking first blood. Absolutely insane thus far in terms of the pacing of it all. Daigo, you can imagine, is going to be throwing out a lot of fireballs against Yamaguchi because of his immaculate fireball game that he's hailed to have for decades now. But Yamaguchi's done a great job of sufficing with some of the flickers, also timing out some of the parries as well. Daigo's really got to reassess.
And I like that Yamaguchi, I should say, like reestablishes the neutral immediately. Like you immediately see him do a perfect parry and like a button right after. Usually people will do like a perfect parry, like maybe walk up a little bit, try to see what the other player's gonna do or what the Akuma player's gonna do. You see Yamaguchi encroaching on that space as soon as he can, as you mentioned, being as offensive as possible. And his defense has been pretty good too as well. Micro step back walk, avoiding throws in certain scenarios, using buttons at certain angles where it's hard for Daigo to contest with. And he will also like just walk up and block, like walk up and crouch block and avoid maybe a crouching muted kick or whatever it may be. He is taking space, even if he is getting hit every so often. He knows that eventually, yeah, you're going to get hit with a crouching muted kick drive rush. That's going to happen. It happens to everybody. But overall, he has been able to stand on ground whenever he can and be in those ranges where it's uncomfortable for Daigo continuously. It feels like he just is, I guess, more consistent in claiming everyone on the screen, not just where Ed wants to be, but also close range. So I like the way he's playing, I like the offense, also like the minute decision-making things that he does on defense to avoid things that could be way worse.
We're going to see what the adjustments are going to be made between like these two. I want to see if Daigo would throw out a little bit more of the fireball game. Or actually, I should say, not throw out as in utilize them. I feel like maybe put it in the back pocket for now and kind of like walk in encroaching spaces where Yamaguchi might be uncomfortable with throwing out some of the flickers. And if Daigo is willing to walk up and parry some of these instances too, to kind of make it more uncomfortable. I do like Akuma being up close against Ed so long as it's his turn. Much more than kind of playing out the fireball game with ODs. Because like I think the closer you are to burnout, that's when you really start to see Yamaguchi break down your defenses and cause you to be 1 in the corner or 2 into burnout much quicker.
Also that, I think the fireball game is like only like just one step. We talk about this so much. We see this matchup. That's like one piece of the puzzle. You do the fireballs, that's great, but what about your stand fierce or your forward fierce? We've seen likes of, Fujimura when he fights Ed players or other Akuma players go for like a space trap area where they go for like a stand light kick, or they do the stand fierce or forward fierce at the proper distance to catch a whip button. And they try to take like their turn with stand muted kick on the side of Ed. Back dashes there, he wasn't aware that was coming through. Good stuff from the side of Yamaguchi though. He starts off real strong. Wake up micro walk throw though from the side of Daigo.
And this is so imperative too, because if I'm not mistaken, if Daigo ends up taking this down, I think based off of the head-to-head between Saishunkan, Solo, Kumamoto, and Good 8 Squad, I think that might be a W for them, but I'd have to double check. Oh no, actually. That's actually kind of tough, because Good 8 Squad actually won in the rebuttal. Yeah, this is hard to call out.
So only steps in the head to get to the playoffs is being assured, or close to at least. Still in contention. Oh, what could have been a jump in.
Punish on landing. Yes, sir. Yeah, you can't throw out those sparks for free. That's been proven in the previous week. Close to burnout is Yamaguchi. The guillotine not gonna fly against the uppercut. Oh my god, he was dancing right in front of him and not a single movement until that moment. Daigo falling for it the second time. That was maximum shimmage, dude. That was actually the double shimmy.
The double? No fries. Yamaguchi. This man's movement has been fantastic. I think, again, that's what allows his offense and defense to be so strong. Shoot the space with this character. As we see they'll step back a little bit, catch the crouching middle kick, not even in the same range. I don't know why Daigo threw that sucker out. Yamaguchi getting hit with the ODDP as soon as I say that. Had a lot of pressure. Does land the anti-air. No cycle blitz follow-up right after it, though. Just fine. A lot of bar at the bottom to utilize to be able to get that drive rush off. And this is all she wrote. Cycle blitz level 3 right after it. String him up. Put him down.
There haven't been enough moments for Daigo to really put Yamaguchi on the back foot. Even in that moment where he was in the corner, close to burnout, a little bit lower on life, Daigo refused to push on the offense. He went back to the spacing game and went back to the fireballs immediately in the round prior to his defeat into game 2. Like, that was actually very interesting to watch because as soon as that had happened, Yamaguchi played a whole different demeanor and went on with that offense, dude. I swear, the encroaching spaces in between like Akuma and Ed, I feel like if Ed is closing the gap too, or at least closing it within like flicker spacing, it's so problematic, man.
Again, I got to keep mentioning just these micro steps ever so often are. I think it's catching Daigo off guard again to when he can press and where he wants to press, or if you feel confident running those bigger buttons. We haven't really seen forward fierce or stand fierce, but it makes sense if you're not in the proper range. Beyond just like not even go for a whip punish, just to establish that button or those buttons as like stopping tools against maybe like a dash up or even just like mid-range zones just in general. Like he's like, I can't stick anything out. He's gonna just micro step, back walk, stand medium kick. And so it puts Daigo at pause, and then, as you mentioned, Yamaguchi just goes in, gets aggressive with it. And he always has bar with him to drive rush up or to be able to have level 3 for the victory. I feel like Yamaguchi is he's just too informed on what Daigo wants to do, how he's spacing Daigo out, and as you mentioned, having the perfect mix of offense and defense in terms of movement to disallow Daigo from getting what he wants off as well. And Daigo has been going for like a switch up for the fireballs. It's kind of helped a little bit, but again, without the buttons, it's not enough to take down Ed. You need more, especially one of this caliber.
That's what it feels like too. And we still have some developing strategies against the flicker, so it's just a matter of whether or not Daigo can actually react or at least anticipate the right timing against a flicker, because realistically, it's impossible to perfect parry a flicker on command. Realistically, right? Because they have that sole option of being able to hold it, so it's up to the discretion of the user. But if you have the right read on it and are able to kind of like scurry on through with the medium Tatsu, I think that's a pretty big deal. Like we've seen Tokido find answers for it thus far. We've seen perfect parry drive rush also be a significant answer if they're closer. So we'll see.
Man, it feels so hard again. Like the economy of buttons that are being spent right now are just kind of hard to read ever so often, because it feels like maybe 2 buttons here and there, like stand medium kick and the flicker, and then just into nothing. Sometimes it'll be a string right after. Maybe sometimes we'll go for a jump in between some of this stuff. So it's hard to read what he wants to do in terms of like intentions. We'll have to do it because this is game point right here. Yamaguchi pulls him close, wasn't holding parry, so it's a throw. Again, the flicker able to backdash, stay solid, finds a counter in between the string. Flicker to give him full screen as well. I like that. Get that push in the forward fierce to call out the crouch medium kick.
Oh, a little bit too shallow. Had it been a different strength, to be fair though, that is very difficult to call out the Demon Ray. That could have been a different angled dive kick if need be. We talk about the nuances between like the two players, the two characters as well. There are multiple angles that Akuma can approach, but also Yamaguchi actually dropped a very big punish.
They're gonna one-touch Sonora right after. He's the one caught up in the corner, light in the counter hit. Daigo backs off. Maybe trying to get some back. The bar, he tried to go for the dive kick, but Yamaguchi knew what to do. Was able to punch the recovery of the dive kick. It makes sense. The projectile end vol of that dive kick, you want to utilize that against Ed if you can, but Yamaguchi had a plan way ahead. So one touch it again, another micro step and a whip punish. Really, it was a predictive punish, but we'll take it. Yamaguchi on set point. This guy is so good.
Jesus. He's made Daigo flinch 3 times thus far for the big W. That's actually crazy. Yamaguchi looking at match point, but now closer to the corner. Daigo can't really find a way to expose the defense that Yamaguchi's been presenting thus far, except until this moment, yeah.
Level 3, get that lead, get the bar back. Self back in the green. Stand pierce to the fireball. Usual sub, Yamaguchi blocks it out. Initiates, nothing up that stand light kick. Could have been a Tatsu. And now it's hit with the drive impact. Pivotal stuff here for Yamaguchi. He goes for the corner kick. Doesn't want to spend any more bar. This goes to level 2. Wait for that proper one to hit that OD cycle blitz.
A single hit confirm, I think, for Yamaguchi could really destroy Daigo, and thankfully enough, Daigo survives a round. The big sweep against Yamaguchi's Fierce.
The walk back, catching up the anti-shimmy tool. Daigo still going to that well. Back throw here from the side of Yamaguchi, back to mid-screen. Also the fireball. ODDP deletes that, overhead off the table. Saw the hands up, said put it down. Almost the end of the round, depending on what Yamaguchi does to the bar behind him.
Oh. Yeah, Yamaguchi hasn't really fallen susceptible to the overheads at all thus far, right? I think that's like the second time we've seen it used. He backed through the first attempt. Dude, he is knocking on the door plenty of times over. Daigo's slow and steady, but is able to enter the door with a big Imperience end to answer with.
What attack here from Yamaguchi, could be deadly. Anti-air is there. There's bar at the bottom. If Daigo shoots at a bad fireball to level 3, also level 3 through any of these gaps, will definitely kill this cat. Careful now, the dive kick. A jab and a throw. Nothing big though off that jab. Still,
he
got back, himself back with bar.
Oh, the uppercut, what a risk to take! Daigo, you could have died for that! But now you're closer to burnout.
Clear the fireball.
Now you have to hold this level 2. Oh boy, add your burnout 2. The overhead finally connects. Daigo was not deterred. He's like, you know, kid, you've had some really good responses to my overhead, but what if I just do it from here? Insane spacing.
Oh my God. In the reads with the DP, you could have died. You could have died for that. Drive rush shaps are off. When the stand fierce right after, adamant fist this time. OD right back at him. Oh, they slug it. Yamaguchi immediately. OD fireball. Daigo wants him up in the corner as much as possible, and it makes sense again. But you can't be whipping that forward medium kick back to the well where these buttons are not going to be working out these ranges. Yamaguchi ready and prepared to punish. Already put him up in the corner. Skating back in the green. Drive rush jab as a whip punish.
Blocks the overhead incoming from the drive rush. Yamaguchi still couldn't phase him out, still couldn't shake him with the throws now. The tick throws are very much so coming in. This is exactly the strategy we were talking about earlier on, was it not? It was literally what we had talked about that Daigo needs to do. Obviously easier said than done, but when he manages it, man, it looks so tough to get Daigo off. The uppercut hit, that's gotta be, what in the world? That's crazy.
Oh, now Yamaguchi will get a slight punish right there. But again, as you mentioned, the switch up, in terms of, I think, rotation of offense, like offensive tools overall for this character has been what's allowed him, I think, to be able to reestablish the throw game and things like that. And the walk-up pressure, luckily Yamaguchi does not bite on that stand fierce. Could have been worse. The throw, drive rush, sweep, he tried to catch him lacking. Drive rush 4 fierce for the plus frames this time. Demon flip gets knocked away. Yo, Daigo's not going to stop going
right
in.
Now, I feel like, as he shouldn't, right? No way! I had a feeling in my bones the uppercut was coming out because of the risk behind it, or the reward behind it. Yamaguchi calling it out, and that was actually so insane too. I think Daigo was just about to lose some of that drive gauge if he had blocked one more sequence from Yamaguchi, so he understands the situation behind it, but man, what a call out.
Yamaguchi locking on the defense that Daigo wants to do. Stand medium starter, opens it up. Imperience in, once a off right after. Looks for damage or setup. Back heavy kick, demon flip, DP. A little bit of damage to the throw.
He gets both regardless.
Yamaguchi. What am I talking about? Yeah, it's a Kuma. Another one, lets it rip. Would have died for it, but still, Yamaguchi would be able to pop off with a level 2. Into the corner. Yamaguchi now on the back foot.
To throw. Oh my God, it was OD uppercut. Sorry, OD fireball. Normally, if you try to go in with an air fireball like that, just a regular one, Yamaguchi would have the right call with the uppercut to extend, but not the OD version. What? It's the remix? My man Daigo is like, hold on. You know, it's as if we said if Daigo gets more than a 2 out of 3, he might be a problem. It's as if we preface the whole thing with that. And guess what? Look where we're at.
Batman of the FGC. Don't give him time to set up. In addition, like, you know, as mentioned, as we've seen, like, Daigo go for an air fireball. Yamaguchi would swap that out and be like, yeah, okay, cool. Get out of here, bro. But that's what we see the OD fireball work out. Again, the rotation of tools, the rotation of offense has been putting Yamaguchi off guard. That's also disallowing, like, the micro walk step backs. Before, Daigo tried to walk up, crouching medium kick, possibly. Now Daigo's like drive rush jab, drive rush forward fierce, stand fierce for plus frame, switching it up, drive rush throw and things like that. The demon flip dive kick, and trying to switch up so much that Yamaguchi isn't able to have that clean, pristine, like proper, like let me just be in the right space that I need to be able to like hit that stand medium kick if you whiff, and that kind of calm style. Daigo just getting as aggressive, I think, in Yamaguchi when Yamaguchi has the momentum, and I do like that. There are obviously some moments where Daigo kind of overextends, but I think that actually plays into his favor. Yeah, the ODDP didn't work one time, but the second time it will work, and it'll also put in Yamaguchi's mind where he might just back off a little bit too much, where he might have the right reason, the pressure, and it might be something that Yamaguchi's like, well, he's gonna do this, so I'm just gonna chill for a second. All these things add up to Daigo staying in a longer set. That data adds up for both sides to help out for Daigo, at least right now. For Yamaguchi, it does give him a little bit more things to think about too as well. He's like, okay, Daigo's this type of player now. He's switched it up to a different mode. He's hit me with the remix. What can I do? How do I alter my gameplay style to work with Daigo? How do I dance with Daigo?
I was looking at the matchups too. I think in the head-to-head, like let's say Saishunkan Kumamoto manages to clutch it out. They get 30-10. They tie, right, at what? 225 with Good 8 Squad. I think Good 8 Squad beats him in the head-to-head by literally one game. By
Just one game.
Single game. Yeah, and I think it's because Fudo lost his matchup 2-0 instead of like getting a single W.
Everything matters.
That's wild.
It was brutal. Meaty though, from Yamaguchi. So, Daigo breaks. Might be seeing less text as things go on, because I feel like both players have been protected quite a bit on wake up.
Oh my god, it's so scary too, the way he just like walks back and forth. Way too plus off of the drive rush. Daigo might be able to do it. He might get the bailout. Oh no, this is tough for Yamaguchi. He recovers all of his green, and he's still moving forward. No regard for his toes. And Daigo said, oh, well, don't mind me. I'm just going to go ahead and hit this low medium.
What's that point? However, there's a whip punish in that forward fierce. We talked about that button about a little bit too long. Yamaguchi taking care of that. Not a back, though. It's a button instead. Double dashes up. This time a throw. Daigo overhead. Blocked out. Charge up. Level 3. Seeing that Yamaguchi's on the back foot and won't react. Or holding parry. Air to air.
I like that too. If you see the flicker from too far away, going for the Demon Raid, it just makes so much sense. All right, so does he have it in him? Oh, he's with a different variation. That's totally fine. Yeah. The damage is there. Daigo immediately backdashes. You know, a single hit can definitely do it for Akuma. Whether it's via a Fierce, I don't know if low forward will be enough, but I think with the amount of drive gauge he has now, it would be. Ooh, and the same for Yamaguchi, tying it up. But forced to spend the level 1. A little dicey, but definitely a good look either way. Final game, final round for our final marquee matchup.
Here we get the punish. We'll get the cycle boost right after. Just gonna let that sucker rock. Able to get the shimmy off the medium with the punish counter. Try to catch the walk back with the crouching light kick. Daigo switching it up. Instead of doing crouching medium kick, does crouching light kick. A little bit less committal. Try not to get whip punished by any sword a button, runs up the stand fierce to the fireball. Up in the corner, would love to get that burnout here from Yamaguchi. Snatch up the crushing unit kick, adamant fist, level 3 immediately. Yeah, put this man in the gray.
No, he doesn't get it. It's too much. Fireball though, meaty. Oh, you baited out the uppercut. You are actually giant brain for that. You galaxy brain man. Fireball for the chip. That's all she wrote. Daigo with the play of the day for sure. Drive rush forward. Force the burnout with a light meaty regardless of whether or not Yamaguchi goes for the uppercut. That was genius. That was actually OD. That was so smart.
You said it. Give this man a long set. Things might be looking different, and they definitely were different today as Daigo takes the win over Yamaguchi in the run back. And again, the adjustments from Daigo have been absolutely wild. You know, you watch the set in terms of like how he's chasing down the movement of Yamaguchi, how he's chasing down the momentum too as well. How he's able to run it back. Obviously, things did not start off so strong. Yamaguchi able to have these like micro step back walks and things like that. Anti-were fairly on point too as well. The shimmies on Daigo were absolutely wild. But then Daigo being able to have these rebuttals with the DPs, kind of stemming down the pressure of Yamaguchi, making him really rethink, what's this man going to do? And you see the OD fireball. First fireballs got swallowed away. Then Daigo put some sauce in with the OD, switch it up. The back walk and the crouching meter kick, as you mentioned. Oh, okay. Thanks for hanging this easy punish to me. And the bait right there after the drive rush. Daigo is just, again, in a 1st-to-3 set, even better, even stronger. The Batman of the FGC. 30 points is totality here for Saishunkan Kumamoto over Shinobism Gaming. Not the 40 bomber they were wanting, but definitely points they will take regardless.
That's wild, man. I'm looking at all of this too. So, you know what's messed up about the layering of that too? Level 1 from Ed upon wake up, it has strike and throw invincibility frames between like 1st and 14th frame. But since it has a startup of 13, it takes a while to actually come out and hit. So Daigo's response of drive rush forward crouch jab automatically destroys all of his other options. Like he can't wake up with a button. He can't wake up with OD uppercut because it's not active until the 13th frame. So it gives that same problem for SA1 and also SA number 2. It comes out in 8 frames, but it's not invincible. So it can get blown up with a meaty normal. So that was, I think burnout was inevitable. I think burnout was inevitable, and I think with the amount of life that Yamaguchi had left, I think with Daigo having meter to himself, he could do crouch jab into uppercut or OD fireball, whatever, what have you, to chip out. So that was insane that Yamaguchi ends up being in a spot where it's almost guaranteed death.
Amazing play for Daigo to work it out to that fashion, be able to work it out where that amount of bar was just not there, and he's been cognitive of how much bar he had to as well prior to that. I think also when it comes to like the Akuma and Ed matchup, you see a lot of Akuma players, even what happened to Daigo previously in the match, he spent a lot of OD gauge on OD fireball. A little bit too much, as you would mention too as well. This time it felt like he kept his gauge in his pocket for these moments, just in general, also to be prepped and prepared for drive rush cancels right after. And I think again, Daigo is just one of those cats. If you give him more time to shine, it's going to be even worse for the opposition. So, interview though, we're getting those in. Nemo saying the order was perfect and each player was able to do the game they wanted. Really happy for each of these games. Higuchi though says, I was expecting him. I was training for it a lot, but unfortunately lost, which is crazy. We mentioned that Higuchi is such a lab rat when it comes to losing matchups or losing just against any player. And to not see him that ready for Johnny, or see Johnny take it in that fashion, I guess goes to show that Johnny really just wanted it just a lot more today. I think Johnny not having the victories that he wanted on his belt out here in the league, maybe not having the time with Marisa, just overall in this season, probably led him to just want it a lot more than Higuchi.
That's insane, man. That's actually insane. Seeing the way things turn out too with this team, I hope I calculated that out correctly. I think Saishunkan, Seoul, Kumamoto, albeit tied with Good 8 Squad, is still going to be second place just by a very small margin. And it's because of the one game they're missing out on in the head-to-head versus Good 8 Squad, because they beat him in the first run 30-10, and then Good 8 Squad beat him in the second run 30-10.
I guess we get full confirmation at the very end, but everything in contention. Only one more day. I can't believe this is almost over. It's just hitting me that like this is so close to being the absolute finish for the playoffs, and we still haven't really fully determined who's going to be there. We've determined 2 teams not being there, NTPOJA, unfortunately, and Detonation FocusMe, but we still have 4 teams left to figure out who is in that qualification line. Now back again to the interview. Higuchi also said, I was winning throughout the league, but I feel there's a game where I can't win anyway. And Fudo says, I was expecting Momochi and wanted to show our team is not just Higuchi by winning both the second and anchor game. So he wanted to say it's not just Higuchi. It's not just a young gun out here doing everything. We've mentioned that Higuchi kind of at some points was carrying Saishunkan Seoul on their back in previous seasons. Maybe not this season, obviously, and maybe not last season as much, but it's good to see that all the team wants to put their best foot forward, especially Fudo.
I agree. I'm glad that Daigo does get his like a couple of bits in to kind of retain the player that he is by using some of the uppercuts. I'm glad that he did that. He actually mentioned it in the interview. There was just too much Shoryuken that I was gonna die, but really lucky and really happy for the win. The team took faith in me, and it was giving me all the advice. They were just giving me all the advice in the world. Sorry about that. A little chopped up on my end. It's wild, man. I think Daigo sticking to his guns by making some of these really hard reads with OD uppercut towards the end. Beautifully paid off, but man, was that scary as hell, I gotta say. But the current ranking right now, Saishunkan Seoul, Kumamoto, they needed 40 to really secure their spot into the playoffs. But so long as they maintain a lead against Fukushima IBUSHIGIN by about, I want to say like, I think 25 points is what it was, right? I think they'll be fine.
Comes on the next episode, as you know, production had told us, and as we've been kind of mentioning also, for at least a lot of these teams, it will come down to the next episode in totality. Obviously, for the ones that we have mentioned, 2 off to the wayside. The rest of the interview, team took faith in me. It's for Daigo and giving me all the advice in the world, but I was too nervous before the game. I wasn't able to cheer for the team at first. Really happy for the win. So I want to see that Daigo was nervous, but even the Beast gets nervous, but it's collecting those nerves in being, I guess, where stable as the match goes on is what really matters. And again, as you mentioned, those OUDPs could have led to a wildly different timeline, but you have to do those as a Kuma. You can't just be afraid of like being the glass cannon that you are. You have to send those out to really put the pause to the opponent, to be like, okay, well, he's got this option, and to make them really rethink what they do on Oki or a dash up, even if it's not Oki. Like, you have to really make them think about what they're doing on their offense. And I think that also helps to get someone that's so offensive like Yamaguchi in a longer set that builds up. And of course, the other things that we mentioned build up to as well. Air fireball into OD, we saw that also. The switch up the dive kicks as well. We saw also like the chase out with the 4 fierce, the stand fierce. The crouching light kick also, instead of crouching medium kick, started doing that. He was like, I don't want to go for a slower option. I want to go for something a little bit quicker. Like if I think that he's walking closer to me and he's already really close. I just like these little minute things that Daigo did. Both did a good job of both of that, of like the minute decision making. But for Daigo overall though, I was able to adjust and put some big plays in. Because I think what landed him the win. I think if you're an Akuma player, you have to go with that sort of mindset. We see it with Shudo. Now we see it with Daigo, who is really reassess what to do with his character. And I do like that. We're going to be seeing what's going to be happening with the scoreboard real soon, and I can't wait to see how we end out the day in terms of who is where and where they need to be in the next episode.
If I were to take a guess, I think overall it should be Good 8 Squad, Saishunkan Seoul, Kumamoto, Fukushima, IBUSHIGIN, and then Shinobism Gaming as the top 4. If I'm not mistaken. Okay. Because taking a look at the standings, Nagoya only gave up 5 extra points to Good 8 Squad, which is kind of crazy. Like, Good 8 Squad didn't really need to, like, score a 40 bomber today, but I feel like this brings them a lot closer, obviously, because there is a tiebreaker involved. It brings them a lot closer to earth for some of these other teams out. Detonation FocusMe, scoring absolutely nothing against IBUSHIGIN, actually boosts up the ladder so much more in contention, which is actually kind of crazy. Yep, I called it right. The tie between Good 8 Squad and Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto, you can see it with the differential. They have, in the battles actually, 2 games. I thought it was 1. 2 games over Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto was actually kind of crazy. It's so crazy. Fukushima IBUSHIGIN in 3rd. Shinobism Gaming at 200 points only. This is such a tight-knit race. It's insane. And there's only 1 more week of regulation play coming up. It's so crazy, man.
One more week of Street Fighter League action for Japan for this division at the very least. You know, when you look at the scoreboard, it's still so much in contention. It's been like that, I feel like, for the majority of Street Fighter League. Only recently has it been some of these teams fall on the wayside. Besides that, they should focus me. I feel like they haven't been able to focus up in the second half that much. But overall, it's been such a tight race, even with the Good 8 squad, you know, being able to be struck down every so often. Saishunkan Kumamoto rising to the occasion. FUKUSHIMA IBUSHIGIN at the very end against Shinobism Gaming, who has been on a tear. But to me, that's good. I mean, that gives us good Street Fighter, and we're going to be seeing how things are going on the graph. And look at this. Shinobism Gaming was on a tear for a long time. They were on the up and up. My mistake. Actually, the past couple of games, they have been falling and faltering. Wow. Wow. This is incredible. Good 8 squad faltering only like once or twice, like, you know, here and there. Soul, though, is the one to get that glow. As you see right there, a big dip, and then rising to the occasion, slowly but surely to make themselves in that top spot. In second place at the very least. FUKUSHIMA IBUSHIGIN having a big boost and having to come up through a little bit of a deficit. But DetonatioN focused me. And unfortunately, Oja also just at the bottom weren't able to grab as many points as possible. That's why we always talk about, like, you need to have as many points as possible. I think it's good to stack points if you can. Obviously, the first part of the season is you're kind of feeling out the other teams, the competition, what you should be doing. But it's good to stack up as much as possible. But again, it's so hard to even say that. You know, all these teams are so strong, and it could really be any team on the day, to be honest. It's hard to call who's going to be making it through. Honestly, I thought DetonatioN was going to be in the playoffs. I did not expect this to happen, and it's crazy to say that, but they're not making it.
Too little, too late, in my opinion. But, I mean, who could really call it? Everybody played so well throughout the entirety of every week, and now it's up to Division F to show what they're made of. Also, coming up, that's going to be happening next week as we prepare for Blink Respawn. Obviously, we got Yogibo Reject versus Favu Gaming. Hiroshima Team Ikaza versus CAG Osaka. That's crazy. Then Crazy Raccoon versus Varo to end it out for Division F. A lot of stipulations going into it, which we will eventually break down on the day of, but that's happening again November 15th. We're taking a little bit of a break for the rest of this week, again, in preparation for the big CPT premiere event happening this weekend in the Dominican Republic. But definitely stay tuned for the second to last week for Division F, because there are so many stipulations on the line as to which teams will be making it in. And I feel like this one, if you thought Division S was close, man, wait till you see the point standings for Division F when we get into it. It's going to be crazy.
Absolutely brazy out here. I mean, Street Fighter League has been providing some of the best action thus far, and everything has been in contention. You have teams that have been, again, having to claw their way out in the middle of the season or at the very end or even at the beginning, maybe not starting off as strong. And this also rounds out the last time we will see Division S. Shinobism Gaming versus Oja, Soul versus DetonatioN, and Good 8 Squad versus IBUSHIGIN to round things out and finally see who's going to be at the playoffs and be solidified for our top 3 teams. I can't tell you who's going to take it. I have no idea. You at home don't have any idea. I don't even want to make a bet because even today, 25-20, Good 8 Squad to Oja. I thought Good 8 Squad was going to just clean up, but that was actually desperation at the very end, striking back even in the twilight hour when they were out of the running. Who could call what's going to happen?
Look at the odds, too, in regards to how many points they could potentially get. Shinobism Gaming facing off against Oja. Saishunkan Soul Kumamoto facing off against DetonatioN FocusMe. There are a lot of points to be grabbed from these two teams. Like, this could be a huge spoiler if both away teams end up going 0-40. I swear to you, this will be the biggest opening for IBUSHIGIN. But their biggest challenge right now, having to face off against the #1 seed, is going to prove to be the biggest challenge of their lives in Street Fighter League. And that's absolutely insane. With how much is on the line for each of these teams and how close-knit it ended up being within the top 3, best believe that you cannot afford to miss this day. November 19th, mark thy calendars. For fate will be sealed for the top 3 right after. It's insane.
And you know that even though some of these teams are out of the run, like Oja and DetonatioN, they're going to want to run spoiler as much as possible. You can mark your calendars, take a screenshot right there. If you didn't know, now you know. Every last day we have listed for Street Fighter League is going to be up here until we get to the playoffs on the 21st and 22nd of next month. And then, of course, the grand finals in February the 11th. That's going to be super sick to see. And again, who can tell who's going to get the playoffs? You know, I want to see DetonatioN, FocusMe, focus up for their very last match against Saishunkan Kumamoto. That's going to be one that's going to be for the ages, as Nemo Itazan, rivals forever, going up against each other. You know, Itazan wants to ruin the runnings for his rival. But again, it's been great in land Japan. In land of Street Fighters overall, we have so much going on, as you mentioned. Blink this weekend, Street Fighter League today, and then the US one this week. Then EU is coming up real soon. I think it's the 11th, if I'm not mistaken. That's going to be next weekish. I don't know time, but I do know it's coming up real soon. It's going to be live. We get to that slide, I'm sure, at some point. But never starve for Street Fighter action. We are hella blessed. And again, sign up. Make sure you get your tickets ASAP. SCs are sold out for grand finals. If you could be there in person. But if you can't, join us on the restream or buy the tickets and get that pay-per-view.
Really excited for it. If you have the, I want to say, the financial means to go out to Japan for the finals of the grand finals of Street Fighter League Pro-JP, I say, you know what, you definitely should, because if you haven't watched what a grand final scenario looked like before, it's in a giant arena, and the people pack that thing in like crazy. There are so many people that attend the Street Fighter League finals. So if you have the means to do it, I highly encourage it. But instead, also, if you want to check out what's been going on from the World Warriors perspective, well, guess what? We have plenty more of that action happening on the 17th of November. Mark your calendars. Again, Spotlight number 4 will also be happening in the studio in case for the full English broadcast on top of that. But as it stands right now, who's going to dethrone Kaku with his 90 points thus far up until 3 weeks right now? Pretty interesting to see, as well as Orarin, Higuchi, Kawano, and John Takeuchi as in the top 5. Shuto, I kind of like take out of there because he's already qualified. And speaking of those who qualified, you can see Itabashi Zangief being a special guest for the official public viewing. These are actually insanely cool to see, and I'm glad the public has taken a kin to having some of these venues open up for World Warrior Japan for the public viewing.
Yeah, it's been fantastic to see the support. We talk about it all the time. See people go offline to view everything, and y'all should definitely support US Street Fighter League. It has some of the hottest action with some of the most explosive interviews and explosive results coming through. That'll be week 4 this week. Check it out on Wednesday. You can see the teams right there, and I'm always looking forward to Noah. Just honestly, if I'm being so real, I'm just looking forward to knowing what he says throughout his brackets and what he's been up to. But it's been good action all the way through. I feel like, you know, you can definitely see like these standout players like Boost and things like that come through. We're about to see who's going to be a standout right here. Europe, alive, and that I do mean alive, throughout the entire week of Street Fighter play. You see the teams right there that are all listed. I haven't looked at the players just yet. I'll have to look at that real soon to see who is listed. I'm sure Mouse will definitely be Problem X. I'm sure it's going to be Ending Walker, of course. Those are going to be the assured ones. And I think Bolt Strike is back for Reason Gaming, but I don't know the other ones just yet. Ninjas in Pajamas, I believe, would probably be Phenom and I guess Veggie. But still, we'll get that a little bit later on. People, we had a good time. Yeah, Veggie. But we'll see. Watch that when that pops up next week. You never starve again for Street Fighter action. It's been a fantastic time, people. It's been a good one. Join us next time that we meet. Make sure to watch Blink this week. My boy will be commentating out there doing the work. But till next time, stay safe, and we will see you in the streets. Peace.
それぐらいの、温度感のスケジュールになってるんですけど、皆さんぜひ、一日でも多くね、一緒に楽しんでいただきたいなというふうに思います。さあそれではストリートファイターリーグプロ JP2024 本日はディビジョン S 第9節の3試合をお届けしました。実況が私フリーダ、そして解説はハイタニさんでお送りいたしました。ハイタニさんお疲れ様でした。ありがとうございました。ありがとうございました。さあこの後は選手の音声入り本日のハイライトをご覧いただきます。お楽しみに。それではディビジョン F 第9節でお会いしましょう。さよなら。さよなら。の準備が整ったようです。フラッシュを使って裏打撃通っている。そのまま YH
ナイスナイスリーチリーチリーチリーチリーチリーチはいはい行ったんじゃない行ったんじゃない行ったんじゃないボーボーボーボーボーボーはいオッケーこれ10点でかいね10点でかいオッケーオッケーこれはいいでしょ何も起きるより
一入れ替え対策がうまい。さあしかしここでガチ君誘った。
いいこれ
はい。
ナイス。
さすが常。さすがだ。
さすがです。
さすが。
さあもう何も食らえない。
あー、投げで決まる。
やった
ナイス。おいこっからだよめ名古屋。こっから。
おせえよ。
いやごめん。ばちゃんごめんよマジで。
本当にもうありがとうございます。
俺がもっと勝ってれば。ごめん。
削りなるほど。そうですね。これ隙ないです。おお落ちるんだそれ。
落ちてしまって。
削り。おお落ちるんだそれ。
落ちてしまって。
削り。
まあ。これね。よかった。
新要素の削り SM。
そう削りバートキング強いんだよあれ。
うわ今な当たんの。
落ちるんだそれ。削り。
惜しかった。
さあこれで板橋さん F ドライブゲージがなくなります。
ナイス。いやそうで言うことね言うことなしです。ナイス。
うまい。さあここは中足に対して定期確に差し返しを決めてきたコサマチャボに対して2セット先制。
やったー。ありがとう。ナイス。いやマジでうますぎ。ありがとう。いやマジでみんなのおかげで衛星でちょっと叫んじゃってるけど喉結構平気だったな。いや大丈夫。
そのまま合ってるとサクシンバさあもナウマンに対しての見事3対1という。
はいナイス大将ナイスです。やったー。いや40偉すぎマジで。やったね。ありがとうみんなマジで。やったね。いや2回今の。
シャシ。
いややったなすいません。
うまい。ジョニー落とした。
打ったー。急がれなかった。
スタ
いやごめん。
いやまあけど前のめりだったね相手相当。
話だよ。
あ
いやごめんなさい。
ジョニーは今シーズン初勝利。そして
もう一回で OK。もう一回なんではいナイス。
ナイス。
無敗の男樋口に対して
これはいいぞ。これはマジいい試合だった。
ジョニーは今シーズン初勝利。
最高。
いや
よくやった。
まあ一回戻ってきて一回から。
やべえ僕も泣きそうなんだけど。
まあいやようやった本当に。
ラッシュしてSH で返した場面。あそこ
見てたらなんかるもん今。
キャンセルして押してから SH って入力しておくと相手がジョニーさんに伝えて僕も泣きそうになった。
はい、やりました。ありがとうございます。
ありがとう。いやよくやったマジででかい。マジでよく。この10マジででかい。
でモモチ追い込んでいる。
人の方だったので。
おお。
はいナイス。
ごめんなさい。
まあ刻めいいっすね。うまいな。マジで。
形は来ましたね。
削りましたね。ミディのドライブゲージ。うわ下が梅原警戒していた。さあここでバーンド中の山口に対して。さあここでバーンド中の山口に対して。いや
なるほど。
いや申し訳ない。
うわ下が梅原警戒していた。さあここでバーンド中の山口に対して。
じゃないのこれ。
いやもうなんで王様なのか分かったわ。
お待たせしました皆さん。いややばすぎるです。これはね。
ドライブゲージを回復したくて触りに
やばい。やばい。
孫さんの試合思い出すななんか
やばい。これはちょっとね。
これやばいよ。
どんどん優位な状況。